Chapter 1266. Lin Shui must have commanded his army to hunt and obtain these demonic bones. When Chu Fengmian saw the demon bone, he instantly understood where it came from. Lin Shui's army consisted of hundreds of quasi-emperors and Yao gods. They must have killed countless demonic beasts along the way. Lin Shui must have forgotten to give these demonic bones to young noble Shui. Now, Chu Fengmian had obtained them. With these demonic bones, I should have no problem entering the Holy Dragon's secret dimension. Chu Fengmian muttered to himself. However, his goal was not just to enter the Holy Dragon's secret dimension. His goal was to join the Holy Dragon sect, the leader of the 4 sections. According to the tradition of every year, the warriors who wanted to join the 4 sects had to be ranked in the top 10 or even first place in the assessment. Only then would they be able to do so. Although there were many demonic bones, he would not be able to compete with young Master Mu. In this batch of newcomers, at least 30% of the members of Emperor Mu's association were members. That was 2,000 to 3,000 people. These people all worked for young Master Mu. The number of demonic bones in young Master Mu's hands was definitely astronomical. I still need to obtain a large number of demonic bones. Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered. He immediately thought of someone. Young noble Shui. Only by killing young noble Shui would Chu Fengmian be qualified to compete with young Master Mu for first place. However, Lin Shui and the others did not know where young noble Shui was hiding. It was said that every time they met young noble Shui, they had to be summoned by him first. Such caution did not give Chu Fengmian a chance. Forget it, there's still time. It had been 3 days since he arrived in the Nether Ghost region. There were still 4 days left. Perhaps there would be other opportunities in these 4 days. The most important thing now was to increase my strength. Lin Shui and the others didn't know the true strength of the bloody young noble, as they had all been crushed by him without exception when they had fought him in the past. Even with their full strength, they could not force young noble Shui to reveal his true strength. His strength was unfathomable. These 5 elemental pills should be enough to help me condense some of the laws of heaven and earth. Chu Fengmian saw the 5 elemental pills in the gourd and made a prompt decision. He waved his hand and countless 5 elemental pills flew out. At the same time, Chu Fengmian pushed the power of the heaven-devouring beast's heart to its limits. The heaven-devouring beast's heart had been completely integrated into Chu Fengmian's body. It was like a supreme treasure. Using the heaven-devouring beast's heart to activate the power of the heaven-devouring secret technique was dozens of times stronger than Chu Fengmian's normal heaven-devouring secret technique. An enormous vortex appeared in front of Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian suddenly inhaled, and all of the 5 elements' great pills flew into the vortex. In the vortex, they were instantly smashed into pieces and refined into pure spiritual energy, which then fused into Chu Fengmian's body. What pure energy of heaven and earth! Over 3,005 elemental pills had been refined at the same time. The power of the world produced made Chu Fengmian feel like he was in the origin world. Of course, even the energy of the heavens and the earth within over 3,005 element divine pills couldn't even compare to a 10,000th of the energy of the origin world. It was just a tiny fraction, but it was barely enough to condense a few laws of the heavens and the earth. Condense. Chu Fengmian suddenly absorbed the energy of the heavens and the earth and roared furiously. The energy of the heavens and the earth condensed into several rays of golden light in front of Chu Fengmian. The golden sword light was the embryonic form of the laws of the heavens and the earth, condensed from Chu Fengmian's sword Dao. Condense. When the golden sword light gradually condensed into a solid form, Chu Fengmian suddenly exerted force. The golden sword light immediately gathered all of the surrounding energy of the heavens and the earth. Once it was gathered, the golden sword light instantly condensed into strands of laws of the heavens and the earth and fused into Chu Fengmian's divine vein. There are only 7. Chu Fengmian saw that in addition to the 165 laws of the heavens and the earth, there were 7 more sword lights in his divine vein. These 7 sword lights were the result of refining the 3,000 plus 5 elements great pills. Chu Fengmian knew that the standards of ordinary martial artists and Yao gods couldn't be placed on him. However, only 7 sword lights were condensed, which was also beyond Chu Fengmian's expectations. After all, if any martial artist or Yao god obtained over 3,000 5-element great pills, they could condense at least 100 laws of the heavens and the earth. However, Chu Fengmian could only condense 7, which was already the limit. It was more than 10 times more than an ordinary martial artist's appetite. After the 7 laws of the heavens and the earth were condensed, the spiritual power of the 5-element great pills had completely dissipated, which proved that the energy of the heavens and the earth had indeed been completely devoured by Chu Fengmian. It seems that being too talented isn't a good thing. Chu Fengmian couldn't help but smile bitterly. When he was in the divine power realm and the life and death realm, it was tens or hundreds of times more difficult for him to break through one realm than for ordinary martial artists and Yao gods. It was even more exaggerated when he reached the life and death steps. He didn't expect that the amount of energy of the heavens and the earth that he needed to condense the laws of the heavens and the earth was 10 times more than that of ordinary martial artists and Yao gods. This was still Chu Fengmian's immoral realm. If his realm increased, the amount of energy of the heavens and the earth that he needed would be even greater. If Chu Fengmian couldn't obtain 100 times more resources than ordinary people, he wouldn't be able to break through at all. Difficult, too difficult. Chu Fengmian now understood why so many peerless geniuses would be stuck in a realm. It wasn't because of their aptitude, but because of their resources. The more monstrous a genius was, the greater the amount of resources they needed. It might be tens or hundreds of times more than ordinary martial artists. If one couldn't obtain such a huge amount of resources, they would be stuck in a realm, unable to take another step forward. Fortunately, I have the divine vein, so I don't need to worry about spiritual power. If I want to take another step forward, I only need the energy of the heavens and the earth. Thinking of this, Chu Fengmian couldn't help but rejoice. He had the divine vein, which reduced a lot of troubles. If it were other martial artists, not only would they need the energy of the heavens and the earth, they would also need a huge amount of spiritual power. It seems that I'll have to earn a lot of contribution points when I reach the sacred dragon's secret realm. Chu Fengmian muttered to himself. Chapter 1267. A large number of contribution points. Although Chu Fengmian had not truly entered the sacred dragon's secret domain, he knew from the memories of Hua and the others that it was not easy to obtain contribution points. Especially a large number of contribution points, it was even more difficult to obtain. With Chu Fengmian's current state, let alone stepping into the Emperor realm, he felt that stepping into the quasi-Emperor realm was still far away. However, this was not a bad thing. The strength of the Emperor realm relied on the accumulation of the quasi-Emperor realm and the immortal realm. Therefore, even if most geniuses had the opportunity to step into the Emperor realm, they would suppress their cultivation at the quasi-Emperor realm and continue to accumulate. Therefore, most disciples of the sacred dragon's secret domain would choose to suppress their cultivation to the quasi-Emperor realm. Even many inner sect disciples, true disciples, and even rumored core disciples had many quasi-emperors. For them, stepping into the Emperor realm was almost a matter of a snap of a finger. However, they did not intend to break through until they reached the limit of the quasi-Emperor realm. Chu Fengmian's current strength was still increasing, which meant that he had not reached the limit of the immortal realm. The more he accumulated, the more benefits he would get when he stepped into the Emperor realm. It was even possible for him to step into the 5 or 6 tribulation true Emperor realm in a single leap. Even the ancient geniuses had once stepped into the realm of Emperor Gu from the quasi-Emperor realm. If others could do it, Chu Fengmian could do it too. Let's go and hunt the demon race again. Chu Fengmian remembered that the demon bones of the demon race could be exchanged for contribution points in the sacred dragon's secret domain. Since he had come to the Nether Ghost realm, he could not return empty-handed. Moreover, he had the intention of competing with young Master Mu for first place. Chu Fengmian and Luya left the valley directly and hunted demons along the way. 1,000 miles away, in a valley, a figure sitting on a tall throne suddenly changed his expression and looked in Chu Fengmian's direction. Lin Shui and the other trash are dead? This figure was young Master Shui. His expression was clearly gloomy. Even the few ladies beside him had become cautious. They did not dare to offend young Master Shui. However, they were a little unclear as to why the blood noble in front of them was angry. Only young noble blood saw that a few of the blood veins connected to his body had suddenly snapped. This blood thread was the method he used to control the martial artist demon god. Other than him, no one else could sever it. There was only one possibility for the blood thread to sever, and that was that the martial artist demon god he was controlling had died. Now, the blood veins of Lin Shui and the other three had all been severed. None of them were still alive. Young noble Shui had originally wanted Lin Shui and the others to deal with Chu Fengmian and Luya. He wanted them to kill Chu Fengmian and capture Luya. However, this outcome had exceeded his expectations. Chu Fengmian? Looks like I've underestimated you. I thought you were just a little brat, but it seems like you have some tricks up your sleeve since you dared to go against Mubai. Arch-ancestor Jianwang's bloodline? Excellent. The more powerful you are, the more I want the power of your bloodline. Young noble Shui didn't look mad. The deaths of Lin Shui and the others didn't infuriate him. Instead, they made him even more excited. Lin Shui and the others were all geniuses who had been groomed by him. The fact that Chu Fengmian could kill them meant that he was very powerful. The more powerful Chu Fengmian was, the more it proved how powerful Arch-ancestor Jianwang's bloodline was. This made young noble Shui even more eager to obtain it. Shui 1, Shui 2, come out. Young noble Shui ordered. Two figures slowly appeared behind the tall throne. These two figures were standing behind young noble Shui. They were like his shadows, protecting him all the time. The two of them would only show themselves when they heard Prince Shui's order. Lin Shui and the others were Prince Shui's trusted subordinates. You too, come with me. Young noble Shui's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he suddenly stood up from his throne. Young noble Shui. The expressions of the Avalon of Five Elements disciples changed when they saw this. After coming to the Nether Ghost region, young noble Shui had been sitting on his throne. He didn't need to personally kill the demons. His subordinates were more than capable of doing so. They hadn't expected young noble Shui to personally take action this time. You two continue to kill the demons. As for me, I will personally meet that brat. Young noble Shui's face turned cold. In an instant, young noble Shui, Shui 1, and Shui 2 turned into a ray of bloody light and disappeared. Another one. On a plain in the Nether Ghost region. Three figures were besieged by countless demons. However, even though they were surrounded, the three figures did not seem to be having an easy time as they continued to slaughter the surrounding demons. These three figures were Chu Fengmian and Luya. As for the third figure, it was the king of the inner demons. Since Chu Fengmian had used the king of the inner demons, Emperor Gu of the Emerald Sky in the Sacred Dragon's secret territory had probably noticed it. Thus, Chu Fengmian didn't need to hide the king of the inner demons. He might as well release it. The king of the inner demons acted much faster than Chu Fengmian and Luya combined. In the Nether Ghost region, the king of the inner demons was like a fish in water. He could convert demon wool for his own use. In just a few minutes, at least hundreds of demons had died at the hands of the king of the inner demons. However, this number was still too little. Chu Fengmian couldn't help but shake his head. This level of proficiency was really too little compared to the number of demon bones he had obtained from Lin Shuikong's ring. Even if Chu Fengmian spent a few days, he might not be able to obtain the demon bones in Lin Shuikong's ring. Unless he hunted a demon with an extremely noble bloodline, such as an Azura, Chu Fengmian wouldn't have a chance to compete for first place. Just as Chu Fengmian was thinking about this, he suddenly saw a few rays of light flying over. Rather than flying toward Chu Fengmian, it was more accurate to say that these rays of light were fleeing in panic. The reason for that was because there was an even faster figure chasing after the light. This figure was more than 10 meters tall. His body was covered with bone spikes and he held a giant bone sword in his hand. An Azura. Chu Fengmian's eyes lit up. He actually encountered an Azura again. Originally, Chu Fengmian couldn't be bothered to save people who were fleeing for their lives. After all, Chu Fengmian couldn't be bothered to care about strangers. He didn't expect that the one chasing after him would be an Azura. In that case, Chu Fengmian wouldn't be polite. Those two are disciples of the sacred dragon's secret territory. Chapter 1268. Is that so? Chu Fengmian was not interested in saving people. However, Chu Fengmian was very interested in killing this Azura. This Azura was much stronger than the one Chu Fengmian had killed before. He had reached the peak of the Boundary Emperor realm and was only one step away from becoming an Azura king. His demon bones could be exchanged for a large amount of points, probably more than killing thousands of ordinary Boundary Emperors. Battle Dragon Claw. Chu Fengmian's mind moved. Quietly, the Battle Dragon Claw condensed on top of his head and directly slashed towards the Azura. Where did this little guy come from? How dare you interfere? The Azura's expression changed when he saw the Battle Dragon Claw coming towards him. The huge bone sword slashed towards Chu Fengmian's Battle Dragon Claw. The power of the sword slammed into the Battle Dragon Claw and forced it back. The power of the sword alone was probably close to the level of a 3 Tribulation True Emperor. As expected of a peak Boundary Emperor Azura, Chu Fengmian was secretly shocked. The Azura clan was indeed a fighting clan in the demon race. Their combat strength was indeed terrifying. The strength of a peak Boundary Emperor was close to that of a 3 Tribulation True Emperor. One should know that it was not rare to see such a feat in the sacred dragon's secret realm. Any one of these Azuras would be a peerless genius in the martial world. Young master, let me help you. Luya also saw the strength of this Azura. In an instant, she made her move. Crystals condensed around her body and turned into crystal spears that pierced towards the Azura. The Azura's body was pierced by several crystal spears. However, the Azura roared angrily and the crystals were forced out of his body. At the same time, the injuries on his body began to recover rapidly. The vitality of the demon race was far superior to that of the martial world and demon gods. As long as they did not die, they could recover instantly no matter how serious their injuries were. The Azura's injuries recovered and he looked coldly at Luya. With a roar, he rushed towards Luya. Jianwang change. When he saw this, Chu Fengmian made a prompt decision. He activated the power of Ancestor Jianwang, and the Azura's body froze in the air. At the same time, the enormous claw of the battle dragon descended from the sky. Crack! The battle dragon claw shattered the Azura's body. At the same time, Chu Fengmian clawed at the Azura. Chu Fengmian held the Azura's devil bone and bone sword in his hand. That's right. The devil bone of this Azura is probably comparable to that of 10,000 devils of the same level. Chu Fengmian observed the Azura demon bone and nodded in satisfaction. Azura was 100 times stronger than a quasi-emperor of the same cultivation level. However, in terms of value, his demonic bone was probably 10,000 times more valuable than a quasi-emperor of the same cultivation level. The reason for that was because the bloodline contained within the Azura demon bone was extremely noble. When refining many spirit artifacts, one would need a noble bloodline. This was especially true for slaughtering spirit artifacts. The Azura demon bone that was added to the battle clan was the most suitable spirit artifact. It could also be sold for a good price in the outside world. Let's go. Chu Fengmian put away the devil bone and said to Luya beside him. It could be said that they had gained some benefits from killing such an Azura. Luya nodded and prepared to leave with Chu Fengmian. Wait. At the moment when Chu Fengmian turned around, the 2 holy dragon mystic realm disciples that were being chased earlier suddenly called out. You can't leave. What's wrong? Hearing those words, Chu Fengmian involuntarily turned around and swept his gaze over them. You, leave the devil bone behind. This Azura is our prey. One of the holy dragon mystic realm disciples walked over and pointed at Chu Fengmian. You've snatched our prey. Could it be that you want to leave just like that? Your prey? Hearing those words, coldness appeared in Chu Fengmian's eyes. This Azura had been chasing after them earlier. If it wasn't for Chu Fengmian's intervention, the two of them would have undoubtedly died. And now, the two of them were not thanking Chu Fengmian. Instead, they wanted the devil bone. However, seeing the greed in their eyes, Chu Fengmian came to a realization. The devil bone was extremely attractive to them. Even Luya shook her head inwardly when she saw this scene. It was true that she had done it out of kindness and wanted to save them. She never imagined that she would be attacked instead. Scram! Anger flashed through Chu Fengmian's eyes as he spoke rudely. Based on his personality, he was most disgusted by this kind of person who made false accusations. You! That holy dragon mystic realm disciple glared at Chu Fengmian and spoke fiercely. You and I are both disciples of the holy dragon mystic realm. Do you know that stealing from another disciple is a serious crime? That holy dragon mystic realm disciple spoke. Leave the devil bone behind. As for the bone sword, you can take it. Consider it your reward. How generous. Chu Fengmian sneered. Unfortunately, I'm taking both the devil bone and the bone sword with me today. The two of you, scram. If you don't scram, both of you will die. You dare! The holy dragon mystic realm disciple coldly shouted after hearing Chu Fengmian's words. Why wouldn't I dare? As Chu Fengmian spoke, the battle dragon claw started to condense above Chu Fengmian's head. Oh? What's going on? Right at this moment, another streak of light descended from the sky. At the instant they saw the streak of light, the two holy dragon mystic realm disciples revealed joyous expressions on their faces as they spoke respectfully. Senior brother Langxing? There were actually 30 laws of the heavens and earth? Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered when he saw Langxing. In his mind, he seemed to remember that there was such a newcomer in this year's holy dragon mystic realm. It was said that this person was one of the best below young Master Mu. It was said that his strength was enough to contend against young Master Mu. He could be considered as one of the outstanding newcomers in this year's holy dragon mystic realm. This time, Chu Fengmian could tell that Langxing had a total of 30 laws of the heavens and earth. He was even stronger than Lin Shui and the others. What's going on? We're all disciples of the holy dragon mystic realm. Why are you fighting? Langxing appeared and spoke with the appearance of an elder. There are countless dangers in the Nether Ghost domain. As disciples of the holy dragon mystic realm, we have to work together to fight against other factions. How can we fight among ourselves? Senior brother Langxing is right. The two holy dragon mystic realm disciples obediently spoke. Chapter 1269. Snatch the demonic bone? Langxing looked at Chu Fengmian. His gaze quickly fell on the demonic bone in Chu Fengmian's hand. Although he only saw it from afar, it was enough to tell the value of the demonic bone from the surging demonic will. The demonic bone of a peak quasi-emperor Jura. Langxing's eyes contained a trace of viciousness. Even he had never obtained a demonic bone of this level. You're Chu Fengmian. Langxing looked at Chu Fengmian a few times and suddenly found him familiar. Then, his eyes flickered as if he recalled Chu Fengmian's identity. In the Holy Dragon Secret Realm's newcomer's territory, only Chu Fengmian dared to confront young Master Mu. Hence, he was considered a figure. For example, although Langxing had always been unconvinced by young Master Mu, he would never go against Monarch Mu. With your status, it doesn't seem right for you to snatch the demonic bones of a few brats. Forget it, since you've obtained the Azura's bone sword today, you should give the demonic bones to these brats. Langxing said. After all, the two of them were the first to discover Azura. It should belong to them. Is that so? If you want the demonic bone, don't be so sanctimonious. Snatch it if you want. Chu Fengmian suddenly laughed. As soon as Langxing appeared, he started to act with the two. Obviously, they knew each other. Moreover, with their strength, they would have been killed by Azura long ago. Chu Fengmian saved them, and now he was making a false accusation? Langxing, I thought you were a figure. I didn't expect you to be so weak. Although young Master Mu is trash, you're worse than trash. Chu Fengmian looked at Lang Xing and shook his head. Boy, how dare you insult senior brother Lang Xing? Hearing Chu Fengmian's words, the two disciples of the Holy Dragon's secret realm said angrily. I'm far inferior to young Master Mu. I'm only here today to uphold justice. Lang Xing said with a sanctimonious look after hearing Chu Fengmian's sarcasm. Since there's a dispute over the demonic bone, let me take care of it today. We'll decide the ownership of the demonic bone when the truth comes to light. As Lang Xing spoke, he suddenly made a move. A golden light flew out from his hand and aimed at the demonic bone in Chu Fengmian's hand. The power of the golden light alone was enough to snatch the demonic bone from Chu Fengmian's hand. Luckily, Chu Fengmian's body was strengthened by the godly tree, thus the golden light did not have any effect on him. Can't help himself? To think that a disciple of the sacred dragon mystery ground would turn into a sinister villain. Chu Fengmian's mouth flashed a cold smile. His hands moved and suddenly grabbed the golden light. The golden light was pinched by Chu Fengmian and couldn't move at all. The existence within the golden light was revealed. It was a rope, a heaven-grade spirit artifact rope. Break! Chu Fengmian smiled malevolently. He exerted strength with his palm, and the rope was directly torn into two pieces in Chu Fengmian's palm. Lang Xing said angrily when he saw that the rope was destroyed. This rope was a spirit tool that he had spent quite a bit of wealth to obtain. Yet now, it had been torn apart by Chu Fengmian. So what if it's destroyed? You dared to steal my demon bone. Destroying your spirit artifact is already a light punishment. Lang Xing, do you think you can hide your little scheme from anyone? You're so sanctimonious and shameless. How dare a piece of trash like you steal from me, Chu Fengmian? Chu Fengmian said coldly. 30 laws of heaven and earth? Do you still think you're someone important? In front of me, you're just an ant. If I want to kill you, it'll be as easy as crushing an ant. How dare you? Chu Fengmian, you snatched your fellow disciple, and now you dare to spout nonsense. At this point, Lang Xing no longer pretended. A trace of viciousness flashed across his eyes as he spoke. Let me tell you, if you know what's good for you, you should hand over the demon bone. Do you think you can stir up a storm in the sacred dragon mystery domain? That's because you're not worth Mubai's wrath. The Mu family is a big family in the sacred dragon mystery domain. They have a lot of inner disciples and true disciples. Do you really think you can fight against Mubai? Let me tell you, my Lang family is quite powerful in the sacred dragon mystery domain. If you get on my good side, I can join forces with you to deal with Mubai. I just didn't expect you to be so stupid to attack me. Looks like you're courting death. Lang Xing said confidently, as if victory was already in his grasp. Hand over the demon bone and I'll forget about today's matter. I can also join forces with you to deal with Mubai. How about it? Joining forces with a despicable person like you will only dirty my hands. Chu Fengmian laughed. What Mu family? Lang family? Mubei? Chu Fengmian had never treated him as an opponent. In Chu Fengmian's heart, he was at most a toy. If Chu Fengmian wanted to kill him, he had 1,000 ways to do so. Why would he need to join forces with others? This was especially true for Lang Xing, who was a sanctimonious person. Chu Fengmian had seen many such despicable people before. However, he had never expected that there would be such a despicable person in the sacred dragon mystery dimension, a place where geniuses gathered. This truly opened Chu Fengmian's eyes. Are you done with your nonsense? If you're done, then die. As Chu Fengmian spoke, his eyes were filled with killing intent. When Lang Xing tried to snatch the demon bone, Chu Fengmian already had the intention to kill him. Today, Chu Fengmian had no intention of letting Lang Xing leave alive. Trying to kill me? You? Lang Xing shouted coldly when he saw Chu Fengmian attacking. Looks like you still don't know how powerful I am. Do you think you can stir up a storm with your little strength? Heavenly Wolf! In an instant, Lang Xing's body swelled up and turned into a huge heavenly wolf. This Lang Xing was also a beast god. Moreover, he was the noble heavenly wolf of the wolf tribe. As soon as the heavenly wolf appeared, it roared and the sky was about to be controlled by him. Two sharp claws slashed at Chu Fengmian. Let's join in too. Let's help senior brother Lang Xing. The two disciples of the sacred dragon mystery domain followed closely behind. They gathered their spiritual energies and attacked Chu Fengmian. All of you, die! However, just as the two of them gathered their spiritual energies, the battle dragon claw above Chu Fengmian's head suddenly fell. The battle dragon claw swept across the sky and forced Lang Xing to retreat. As for the two disciples of the sacred dragon mystery domain, they were instantly killed. They died under the battle dragon claw. Not even their remains were left. Chapter 1270. You dare to kill someone? Lang Xing was shocked to see Chu Fengmian's ruthless means of killing someone without mercy. There were sect rules in the Holy Dragon secret realm that forbade killing of fellow disciples. Unless it was in the life and death arena, killing fellow disciples was a violation of the sect rules. Lang Xing was surprised. His eyes were full of sneers as he laughed loudly. Good, good. I have no reason to kill you. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me. You have violated the sect rules and are already a traitor of the Holy Dragon secret realm. Killing you is just to clean up the sect. As he spoke, the huge heavenly wolf turned around and pounced on Chu Fengmian. As the heavenly wolf appeared, a crescent moon appeared in the sky. The nether ghost domain was always gray and there was no day or night. However, the crescent moon appeared at the same time as the heavenly wolf appeared. As soon as the crescent moon appeared, the heavenly wolf's body became huge. Yi Lang. Suddenly, a blue wolf head appeared. The blue wolf head was not a spiritual weapon, but a unique means of the heavenly wolf clan. Chu Fengmian could feel that the 30 laws of heaven and earth of Lang Xing were refined in the wolf head. It roared at Chu Fengmian. Not bad. This wolf head is a good treasure. Chu Fengmian laughed when he saw the wolf head. It can be sold for a good price outside. Humph, let's see if you can take it. Lang Xing roared when he heard Chu Fengmian's words. The wolf head opened its bloody mouth and tried to eat Chu Fengmian. However, the moment the wolf head was about to reach Chu Fengmian, it suddenly stopped. A figure appeared behind Chu Fengmian. The king of the inner demon had appeared. The moment the king of the inner demons appeared, a pitch-black figure darted out from behind Lang Xing. What is this? My inner demon. Why did my inner demon come out? Lang Xing yelled. At this critical moment, his inner demon actually came out, causing his mind to be in chaos. Even the spiritual energy in his body was no longer under his control. You can figure it out when you are dead. Chu Fengmian was too lazy to explain. He sneered. Destroy. The Heart Demon King bellowed furiously. His wolf-like head suddenly changed directions and flew towards the sky wolf. Then, it opened its mouth and swallowed the sky wolf whole. Lang Xing's essence blood was devoured by the blue wolf head. Then, the blue wolf head obediently flew back to Chu Fengmian's hand. Not bad. Chu Fengmian played with the blue wolf head for a while before storing it into his empty ring. At the same time, Chu Fengmian grabbed Lang Xing's spatial ring. At a glance, one could see that there were quite a number of demonic bones in the wolf travel sky ring. Of course, the number could not be compared to Lin Shui's. After all, Lang Xing was a lone wolf. It was already not easy for him to obtain such a large amount of demon bones. Young master, you've killed Lang Xing. I'm afraid that there will be some trouble in the future. Luya also knew that Chu Fengmian had no scruples when she wanted to kill, so when Chu Fengmian killed just now, she didn't say anything to stop her. After Chu Fengmian killed Lang Xing, Luya finally spoke. It is said that Lang Xing's elder brother is a true disciple called Lang Wu. His strength is extremely terrifying, and he is an outstanding figure among the true disciples. There is no lack of experts from the Heavenly Wolf clan in the inner sect. Young master, please be careful. It's fine. It's just Lang Xing. I've already killed him. If anyone from the Heavenly Wolf clan dares to come, I'll kill them all. Chu Fengmian said indifferently. The path to becoming an expert was definitely a path of blood. How could one become an expert if they were to cower and cower? Furthermore, whoever wanted to kill Chu Fengmian would have to consider whether or not they were capable of doing so. Let's go. I feel that there's something strange ahead. After Chu Fengmian killed Lang Xing and the two disciples from the Holy Dragon's secret realm and extracted their memories, Chu Fengmian suddenly discovered something strange. It was related to that Azura. The Azura clan shouldn't appear at the edge of the Nether Ghost realm. It could be considered a coincidence that Chu Fengmian had encountered one earlier. However, if he encountered a second one, it couldn't be explained by coincidence. According to the memories of the two disciples from the Holy Dragon's secret realm, they had mistakenly entered a valley. However, they didn't expect the valley to be filled with demonic intent. That Azura had killed his way out of the valley and chased the two of them all the way. There must be something strange about this valley. With a single glance, Chu Fengmian could tell that the demonic will in the valley had reached a terrifying level. It was likely that there were countless members of the Devil tribe gathered here. This was the best opportunity to obtain a large amount of demonic bones. Hide yourselves. Let's go over and take a look. Chu Fengmian quietly hid himself. At the same time, he enveloped Luya and quietly flew towards the valley in the land of memories. Along the way, Chu Fengmian and Luya encountered many demons. However, those demons couldn't see Chu Fengmian's figure. Chu Fengmian's concealment technique couldn't be seen through unless it was Emperor Gu. The two of them flew and soon arrived before the valley. Seeing the valley with his own eyes, Chu Fengmian discovered that it was even more exaggerated than the valley in the memories of the disciples from the Holy Dragon's secret realm. The demonic intent was about to condense and take form. It shrouded the entire valley. At a glance, one couldn't see the situation in the valley. The Nether Ghost realm was originally a place with dense demonic intent. However, the demonic intent in the valley was hundreds or thousands of times denser than in the Nether Ghost realm. It was simply shocking. What exactly is inside? Luya was shocked when she sensed the dense demonic intent. Let's go over and take a look. Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered as he quietly approached the valley. It was definitely unusual for such a place to appear. Perhaps there were some astonishing treasures inside. Chu Fengmian and Luya gradually approached the valley. As they approached the valley, the scene in the valley gradually entered their eyes. However, when Chu Fengmian and Luya saw the various things in the valley, their eyes widened in disbelief. This is a demonic army? Within a valley in front of him, there was a black mass of devilish tribe members who were currently lined up in an orderly manner. Even the most arrogant and unruly demons were in formation. They obeyed orders and didn't dare to act impudently. Chapter 1271. The Demon Race Legion was chasing a group of cultivators from Qilin Mountain. There were dozens of cultivators from Qilin Mountain, forming a small team. Seeing these cultivators from Qilin Mountain come to the valley, they didn't expect to hit an iron plate. Even dozens of Qilin Mountain disciples couldn't compete with the Demon Race Legion. The small team in front of them was obviously no match for the Demon Race Legion and was now fleeing. In front of this demon stood a dozen or so Gundams. Every single one of these figures had white flames burning on their bodies, and they held bone swords in their hands. So many Azuras. Chu Fengmian glanced over and estimated that there were a total of 15 Azuras. These 15 Azuras were the captains of the Demon Race Legion and were responsible for commanding the Demon Race Legion. Obviously, these 15 Azuras weren't the true masters of the Demon Race Legion. At the very back of the army, they could vaguely make out a huge devil. He was about 40 to 50 meters tall, and his entire body was covered in bone spikes. Next to him was a huge sword, which was also shockingly huge. A terrifying demon intent surged. Azura King. Chu Fengmian's pupils shrank. This tall Demon Race Legion was a second-layer Emperor Realm Master. However, this was only on the surface. The Azura clan was the fighting genius of the demon race and had the ability to fight above their realm. As for the Azura King, only the elites of the Azura clan could break through. For the Azura king, fighting above his realm was as easy as eating and drinking. The true strength of the Azura king was at least at the level of a 4-tribulation true emperor. Even if Chu Fengmian used his full strength, he might not be the Azura king's opponent. The Azura king's legion? Why would it appear here? Chu Fengmian had read ancient books and heard that the Azura king's legion was the main force of the demon race. Normally, it wouldn't be used, but now it had appeared at the edge of the Nether Ghost realm. Could it be the demon race? They also know about this assessment? Chu Fengmian's eyes flashed as he suddenly guessed. The Azura King's Legion wouldn't appear here for no reason. The only thing that could attract them here was the assessment of the other great forces. These great forces sent geniuses from various continents for the assessment. If they were all defeated by the demon race, the flesh and blood of these geniuses would be enough to create countless powerful demon race. So many Azuras. Luya's brow furrowed as her brows furrowed. An Azura was practically an existence that could not be troubled. For example, Lang Xing might not even be a match for an Azura in a one-on-one fight. But now, there were actually more than a dozen Azuras in this mountain valley. What was even more terrifying was that there was even an Emperor Realm Azura king among them. Remember, a Pete quasi-emperor had the power of a 3-tribulation true emperor. This king was at least close to a 4 or 5 tribulation true emperor. Coupled with this mighty demon race legion, once it appeared, it would definitely be the nightmare of countless cultivators and demon gods. Unless Emperor Gu of the Great Forces took action, this demon race legion was enough to sweep away all the disciples of the Great Forces in the Nether Ghost realm. Sure enough, the appearance of these Azuras is unusual. Chu Fengmian's expression was solemn. Encountering 2 Azuras in a row already made Chu Fengmian speculate. Now, it seemed that the demon race was indeed preparing some scheme. Be careful, I will secretly listen to what is going on. Chu Fengmian quietly concealed his aura. Chu Fengmian didn't expect that he would run into such a secret place this time. This group of devils, and even the Azura king, had come to the edge of the realm of Nether Ghosts, but hadn't moved. Instead, they had been hiding here. They were definitely waiting for something or planning something. Chu Fengmian quietly released his spiritual sense and gradually drifted over, gradually approaching the inner part of the valley. Asterisk rumble. Asterisk almost at the same time, Chu Fengmian felt a surge of demon will suddenly surging out, startling Chu Fengmian. However, Chu Fengmian was extremely calm. He observed for a while and found that it wasn't Chu Fengmian's spiritual sense that was detected by the Azura king. Instead, it was a passage that suddenly opened in the valley. The surging demonic intent was being emitted from the tunnel. Another powerful demon race has arrived. Chu Fengmian was horrified. He felt that the most powerful demon race in this passage was probably stronger than the Azura king. Asterisk rumble. Asterisk as soon as the passageway opened completely, countless devils flew out from it. At a glance, there were thousands of demons flying out. It was simply another demon race legion. Among them, Chu Fengmian saw some demons that were more than 10 meters tall, with wings on their backs and bone tridents in their hands. Yiksha. The moment Chu Fengmian saw these demons, he immediately thought of a kind of demon race. Yiksha was also part of the demon race. It was a famous fighting clan that was comparable to the Azura clan. In terms of strength, the Yiksha clan might not be as strong as the Azura clan, but in terms of speed, the Yiksha clan was far superior. The Azura clan and the Yiksha clan were almost all noble clans in the demon race. Chu Fengmian didn't expect that not only the Azura clan, but also the Yiksha clan had appeared. The Yiksha clan gradually appeared. At a glance, there were more than 20 of them. They appeared and stood respectfully at the side, waiting for the passage to open. It seemed that an even more terrifying demon race was about to arrive. Yiksha clan, since you're already here, why don't you show yourself? The Azura king's eyes suddenly flickered as a hint of impatience flashed across his face. Do you want this king to continue waiting? What's the hurry? Anyway, the young emperor hasn't given the order yet. What's the hurry? A hoarse voice came from the passage. At the same time, a blue flame suddenly burned and turned into a sea of fire. In this sea of fire, a yiksha that was 3 or 4 times taller than an ordinary yiksha suddenly appeared. Emperor realm? Yiksha clan. Chu Fengmian's body trembled. Today was an eye-opener for him. Not only did he see the Azura king, but even Yiksha clan had appeared. Chapter 1272. Not to mention Azura king and Yiksha, in such a remote place like the Nether Ghost realm, even Yikshas and Azuras were extremely rare. What's more, it wasn't just the two of them who had come, but also the demon race army under their command. The young emperor's task today is of great importance. Who dares to delay it? Azura king said coldly. His eyes flashed. It is said that the young emperor will come in person this time. The young emperor will come in person? Could it be that the rumor is true? Is the skeleton of one of the 10 heavenly demons, the bronze heavenly demon, really in this area? Yiksha suddenly said. 10 heavenly demons. The skeleton of the bronze heavenly demon. Chu Fengmian's body suddenly trembled. The heart demon king, who was in Chu Fengmian's body, showed a look of yearning when he heard this sentence. Obviously, the skeleton of the bronze heavenly demon was extremely attractive to the heart demon king. The 10 heavenly demons were the 10 most powerful demon gods in ancient times. These 10 demon gods had surpassed the emperor realm and were terrifying existences among the heavenly beings. According to the records, the 10 heavenly demons had all died in a great battle in ancient times. However, although they had died, their power still remained in the world. For example, the demon emperor in the past had gathered the power of the 10 heavenly demons and was able to create the phantom of the 10 heavenly demons to fight for him. The value of the skeleton of the 10 heavenly demons was no less than that of the heavenly beings. It was even rumored that the strength of the 10 heavenly demons was far beyond that of ordinary heavenly beings. They were invincible masters among the heavenly beings. The value of his skeleton was probably no less than that of many supreme treasures. No wonder the demon race army came in person. It turns out that such a supreme treasure has appeared. Chu Fengmian muttered to himself. At the same time, a glimmer of light flashed in Chu Fengmian's eyes. The Heart Demon King was also a member of the demon race. If the skeleton of the bronze heavenly demon was obtained by the Heart Demon King and allowed him to devour it, he would probably be reborn and his strength would skyrocket. The king of the inner demon's current strength was already so terrifying that it was enough to intimidate Emperor Gu. If the king of the inner demon's strength were to increase by another 10%, Chu Fengmian couldn't even imagine what it would be like. At that time, when Chu Fengmian truly stepped into the Emperor realm, with the help of the Heart Demon King's power, he would have the ability to fight Emperor Gu, the 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu at his peak. Killing Emperor Gu would be a piece of cake. However, it would not be easy to obtain the remains of the bronze heavenly demon. The Yiksha and the Azura King had both appeared. If Chu Fengmian were to engage in a bloody battle with the devil legions under their command, he would undoubtedly die. Moreover, Chu Fengmian heard another name during their conversation. Xiao Di. Chu Fengmian didn't know who the young emperor was, but it seemed that both the Yiksha and the Azura King had come under the young emperor's orders. The devil race had always respected strength. Even if one's bloodline was noble, it didn't represent one's status. If the young emperor could make the Yiksha and the Azura King listen to his orders, then his strength was naturally between the two of them. A 5 Tribulation True Emperor would at least be a 6 Tribulation True Emperor, or even an Emperor Gu. Chu Fengmian couldn't help but frown at the thought of this. His chances of winning against the Azura King and the Yiksha were slim, not to mention the mysterious young emperor. No matter what, I'm afraid the bronze heavenly demon's skeleton isn't just for the demon tribe alone. No wonder the 4 major powers sent the ancient emperor out this time. Seems like the 4 major powers are also eyeing the bronze heavenly demon's skeleton. Chu Fengmian noticed that there were 4 figures standing in the sky. Existences like Emperor Gu were considered old antiques in the sacred dragon secret realm. They rarely showed themselves, so why would they show up for a newcomer's exam? Now that he heard about the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, Chu Fengmian was extremely clear. For the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, even if the ancient emperor had to step in, it would be worth it. What's going on? While Chu Fengmian was thinking, the Iksha and the Azura king suddenly moved. An altar suddenly appeared in front of them. This altar was ancient and sacred with devilish runes carved on its surface. It didn't look like it belonged to the devil race, but rather, an existence without divinity. Chu Fengmian knew that things would only move in the opposite direction when pushed to the extreme. Only a top-grade devilish treasure would have such a sacred appearance. This altar wasn't inferior to the Titanic Gate godly sword. It had the chance to become a top-grade immortal weapon. What's the sacrifice for such a supreme treasure? Chu Fengmian didn't have time to speculate before a purple flame appeared on the altar. This was the purest devilish flame. It was comparable to pure yang skyfire. Even with his ice-fire divine physique, Chu Fengmian might not be able to resist it. A figure slowly walked out from the heart of the demon flame and began to merge with the altar. Not good, a big shot is coming. Is this the young emperor they were talking about? Chu Fengmian was horrified. The strength of this figure was simply beyond Chu Fengmian's imagination. It was even stronger than Emperor Gu, the Wind Empress, whom Chu Fengmian had met before. Go! Chu Fengmian made a prompt decision. Without hesitation, he turned into a beam of light and flew out of the valley. His concealment technique could only fool a sixth tribulation true emperor like Emperor Gu. It wasn't difficult for him to see through Chu Fengmian. Moreover, the young emperor that Chu Fengmian had seen before was probably much stronger than any of the ancient emperors that Chu Fengmian had encountered. Boom! At the same time, the altar gradually fused with the figure and turned into the appearance of a young man. This young man was noble and cold. Just by looking at him, one would be subdued by his aura. Azura King and Yiksha King knelt on the ground the moment the young man appeared. Welcome, young emperor. Humph, you're all trash. The young emperor suddenly looked in Chu Fengmian's direction. You didn't notice? Are you being spied on? What? Spied on? Azura King and Yiksha's expression changed. They quickly followed the young emperor's gaze. The young emperor's gaze had locked onto a figure. Damn it. Chapter 1273. Since that was the case, Chu Fengmian did not want to hide anything. Tianwang change. He quietly activated the power of Tianwang's bloodline to the extreme. The surrounding space changed abruptly, wrapping around Chu Fengmian's figure and trying to take him away. The young emperor in front of him was not someone Chu Fengmian could contend with. Fighting him was tantamount to suicide. Escape? You're just an ant. You want to take advantage of my misfortune? What's this? Tianwang change? Oh? The bloodline of the first ancestor Sky Dragon, no wonder you dare to pry. However, in front of me, no one can escape. The young emperor looked at Chu Fengmian and recognized the power of Tianwang change at a glance. He could not help but sneer. He pointed a finger at Chu Fengmian. Boom! With just a single finger, a terrifying power swept across the sky and bombarded Chu Fengmian with demonic will. It was as if everything in the world would collapse under this finger. Shattering heaven and earth? Chu Fengmian recognized at a glance that this seemingly ordinary finger was an extremely terrifying killing move of the demonic path. It was a move that ordinary sovereigns would not be able to release even if they used all their strength. But in front of the young emperor, it was as easy as flicking his finger. The power of the tree of God. Bless me. Chu Fengmian instantly understood that it was no longer the time to hide. He immediately activated the power of the tree of God. The roots of the tree of God wrapped around Chu Fengmian's body. At the same time, Chu Fengmian suddenly struck out with his claw, shattering heaven and earth. When the claw landed on the finger, even though it was instantly destroyed, it managed to weaken the power of the finger by 90%. It was enough for Chu Fengmian to take on the power of the finger with his physical body. Crack! Crack! Chu Fengmian's body began to crumble under the power of the finger. However, the terrifying life force of the sacred tree soon fused with Chu Fengmian's body and began to envelop him, repairing his body continuously. Then, Chu Fengmian turned into a ray of light and fled. "Oh? You can actually block my finger attack? Looks like this brat has a heaven-shaking encounter. He's just an immoral realm brat. How could he resist my finger?" Xiao Di was surprised to see that Chu Fengmian didn't seem to be affected by the attack. This was beyond his expectations. Azura King and Yiksha, who were standing beside Xiao Di, were even more shocked when they heard this. This was a young emperor's finger attack. Although it was just a casual attack from a young emperor, anyone who had reached the level of a young emperor could kill with just a casual attack. Even the two of them did not have the confidence to take a single blow from Xiao Di. Even a casual blow from him would be enough to destroy their bodies and souls. The young emperor had even said that Chu Fengmian was only in the deathless realm. "Young emperor, let's go and bring this brat here." Azura King and Yiksha King made a prompt decision and prepared to chase after him. However, Xiao Di stopped him. "Forget it, it's just a little guy who had some luck. It's not worth mentioning. Anyway, even if he saw everything, so what? I'm afraid those old fogies already know that I'm here." Xiao Di said casually. He spoke as if no enemy could pose a threat to him. He was extremely confident. "I must get the bronze heavenly demon's skeleton. Who dares to stop me? Today, they will all die in the nether ghost. Come with me." Rumble. The army of demons followed the crown prince out of the valley in a grandiose fashion. The roars of the demons could be heard from the nether ghost. How terrifying. What kind of expert is this young emperor? He almost killed me with a wave of his hand. On the other side, Chu Fengmian used Jianwang transformation to escape thousands of miles away before he could breathe a sigh of relief. The finger attack just now was just a casual attack from Xiao Di, but it was enough to force Chu Fengmian to use almost all of his strength to block it. This kind of power was terrifying to the extreme. 7 Tribulations Emperor Gu? 8 Tribulations Emperor Gu? Or even a 9th level Emperor Gu? In particular, the young emperor in front of him was not his true body, but a clone. The altar was a clone of his origin. It could be said that this was only the tip of the iceberg of the young emperor's true strength. The young emperor did not intend to pursue Chu Fengmian because he wanted to preserve the power of this clone. Otherwise, Chu Fengmian might not be a match for the young emperor even if he used all of his trump cards. Fortunately, Luya left first. Otherwise, it would be more troublesome. Chu Fengmian almost couldn't escape unscathed alone. Fortunately, when Chu Fengmian entered the valley, he had noticed the abnormality and asked Luya to leave quickly. Chu Fengmian's expression changed at the thought of having to snatch the bronze heavenly demon from the young emperor's hands. He didn't want to face the young emperor again. It was a real life and death situation. It was a coincidence that Chu Fengmian was able to escape this time, but he didn't want to leave his life in the hands of others. The young emperor's true opponent should be the Emerald Sky Ancient Emperor and the others. Now that they're engaged in a bloody battle, I might have a chance at obtaining the bronze heavenly demon's bones. Chu Fengmian's eyes flashed. Taking the bronze celestial demon's remains from the young emperor, or even the ancient emperor of the Emerald Skies, would be extremely dangerous. However, the more dangerous it was, the more benefits Chu Fengmian would gain if he succeeded. Just think about it. A character like the young emperor didn't hesitate to send down a clone just to snatch the bones. This was enough to prove its value. It would be a great fortune for Chu Fengmian if he could obtain it. If not, I'll go all out and have a 30% chance of escaping from the young emperor. It's worth a try this time. Chu Fengmian quietly calculated. His encounters were too numerous, especially when it came to life-saving means. He could look down on true emperors. Even a real 6 Tribulation true emperor with Chu Fengmian's life-saving methods might not be enough. The bloodline of progenitor Jianwang was enough for Chu Fengmian to tear through space and escape. The divine tree gave him 100 times more vitality than an ordinary person. Moreover, he also had the mortal emperor jar and the power of creation. If Chu Fengmian were to go all out, he might not necessarily die. Moreover, he had his own trump cards. Go! Chu Fengmian pointed his finger and a drop of blood condensed in his palm. Chapter 1274. 10 Heavenly Demon Blood Essences. Looking at the blood essence in Chu Fengmian's palm, his lips curled into a smile. Chu Fengmian had obtained this blood essence from the immortal demon venerable and dragon emperor Yan's cave abode. Originally, to Chu Fengmian, the 10 masses of heavenly demon essence blood didn't mean much. Chu Fengmian didn't cultivate the demon clan's cultivation method, so he naturally couldn't refine the 10 masses of heavenly demon essence blood. But now, it was very likely that this blood essence would have an unexpected effect in the fight for the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Chu Fengmian could feel that this drop of blood essence seemed to have undergone a very unique change after coming to the Nether Ghost region. One could vaguely make out a blazing, terrifying demon god with a pair of wings on its back in this place of 10 directions of celestial demon blood essence. The bronze heavenly demon. Chu Fengmian saw that this terrifying demon god was the legendary bronze heavenly demon of the 10 heavenly demons. Could this drop of blood essence be the bronze heavenly demon's blood essence? Chu Fengmian could not help but think. Chu Fengmian only knew that this drop of blood essence belonged to the 10 heavenly demons. As for which one it belonged to, Chu Fengmian was, after all, not a demon, so he could not tell. But now, this drop of blood essence was showing the bronze heavenly demon's image. Thinking of this, his face was full of excitement. If Chu Fengmian could really control this drop of blood essence, he would have a much greater advantage in the fight for the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Young Emperor, Emperor Gu of the Emerald Sky, and even Qi Linshan, Emperor Gu of the Avalon of 5 Elements, would not expect that I have the bronze heavenly demon's blood essence. Chu Fengmian's lips curled into a cold smile. He was no match for Emperor Gu, but if he really wanted to fight for the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, Chu Fengmian would have the upper hand with this drop of blood essence. Let's go! Chu Fengmian's figure flickered and turned into a ray of light. The bronze heavenly demon's blood essence had vaguely pointed out a direction. Boom! The battle in the Nether Ghost region had become more and more intense. Since the young emperor's arrival, not only Azura King and Yiksha kings, but many other demon kings had also arrived. Under the command of countless demon race armies, warriors and demon gods of the 4 superpowers were hunted. Wherever Chu Fengmian passed, war. However, Chu Fengmian wasn't in the mood to hunt demons anymore. The value of the bronze heavenly demon skeleton was probably much higher than the value of killing 10 million or even 100 million devils. Even if Chu Fengmian didn't obtain anything from this trip to the Nether Ghost realm, he still had to obtain the remains of the bronze heavenly demon. Not to mention, he now had the heavenly demon had. Chu Fengmian passed through countless regions. The realm of Nether Ghost was so vast that one couldn't see the end of it. Even though Chu Fengmian was flying at full speed, he was still wandering around the edge of the realm of Nether Ghost. According to the rumors, the 6 great ominous lands were almost on par with first-class continents, and they were extremely bizarre. Chu Fengmian had to be careful. Especially after meeting experts like the young emperor, Chu Fengmian was even more determined. As he moved forward, he could feel that the demon will around him was getting more and more intense. In particular, Chu Fengmian sensed a power that was extremely similar to the bronze heavenly demon blood essence in the land of demonic will. This force was of the same origin. It seemed that he was getting closer and closer to the heavenly demon skeleton. Before long, Chu Fengmian was able to see through the devilish will and look off into the distance. In the distance, a huge temple suddenly appeared. Although it was a temple, it was built of bones. The demon will was surging and terrifying. It made people shudder when they saw it. This temple of bones was more than 10,000 feet tall. It stood in the Nether Ghost region. At a glance, the Temple of Bones was covered in layers of restrictive spells and formations, making it impossible for anyone to see through the secrets of the temple. This Temple of Bones is where the bronze heavenly demon skeleton is? Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered. He had already put away the bronze heavenly demon's blood essence. It was suppressed by the divine tree in the divine vein. However, Chu Fengmian could clearly feel that the force that was of the same origin as the bronze heavenly demon's blood essence was emanating from the Temple of Bones. There were already quite a number of people gathered around the White Bone Temple. At a glance, Chu Fengmian could see at least a few hundred martial artists and demon gods. These people should be the disciples of the four major factions. The news of the bronze heavenly demon's skeleton's appearance had spread. Many martial artists and demon gods had come to try their luck. Chu Fengmian saw that the disciples of the Holy Dragon's secret realm were standing beside a young man. This young man was young Master Mu. Waves of demon will were emerging from young Master Mu's body. It was as if he had encountered something in the realm of nether ghosts that had made him even stronger than before. The disciples of the Emperor Mu Association were by his side. Even the other disciples of the Holy Dragon's secret realm had come to his side. The nether ghost region was no longer the same as before. Under the pursuit of the demon army, any lone martial artist or demon god would be mercilessly slaughtered by the demon army. Most of the martial artists and demon gods had already chosen to attach themselves to one of the factions. The strongest faction among the disciples of the Holy Dragon's secret realm was the Emperor Mu Association. Chu Fengmian glanced around and did not see Luya. It seemed that Luya had not come to get involved in this mess. After all, Luya had a close relationship with the ancient Emperor Wind Empress. Self-preservation should not be a problem for her. Young Master Mu. Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered. He had wanted to kill young Master Mu for a long time, but Chu Fengmian had not encountered him in the Nether Ghost region. Now, he had finally found him. However, now was not the time to act rashly. The number of experts gathered around the Temple of Bones was beyond Chu Fengmian's imagination. Even Chu Fengmian could feel that Emperor Gu of the Emerald Skies and Emperor Gu of the four major factions had come to the Temple of Bones. Under such circumstances, Chu Fengmian could only wait for an opportunity. The bronze heavenly demon's skeleton was more important. As for young Master Mu, Chu Fengmian would have a way to deal with him after returning to the Holy Dragon's secret realm. That side is the disciple of the Avalon of Five Elements? Chu Fengmian looked around and saw another side. Chapter 1275. The throne stood in the surroundings of the Divine Bone Temple. It was extremely conspicuous and arrogant, but no one dared to approach it. The throne contained an extremely terrifying power. Chu Fengmian could tell that the throne was a supreme treasure. It was not a single piece, but a supreme treasure built from dozens of heaven-grade spiritual weapons. In terms of power, it was not inferior to the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword before it was refined in the origin world. How extravagant! Chu Fengmian did not even have dozens of heaven-grade spiritual weapons. However, Chu Fengmian's wealth was boundless. If he was willing, he could obtain them with some time. However, the owner of the throne did not seem to have Chu Fengmian's divine pulse. Possessing such wealth as a quasi-emperor was enough to prove that this person's background was shocking. No, Chu Fengmian had already recognized the owner of the throne. In the Avalon of Five Elements, there was no one else other than young Master Xue who could possess such power. How powerful! This person actually has close to 100 laws of heaven and earth. Chu Fengmian observed young Master Xue and his eyes were filled with surprise. Young Master Xue possessed 100 laws of heaven and earth. A quasi-emperor possessed 100 laws of heaven and earth. Young Master Xue was much more powerful than young Master Mu. In the Sacred Dragon Mystery Dimension, and even the newcomers of the four major factions, no one could compare to young Master Xue except Chu Fengmian. Even young Master Mu was not qualified to be compared to young Master Xue. Behind young Master Jia Xue, there was an even more astonishing background. That throne alone was an extremely powerful treasure. After killing this blood young master and obtaining his fortune, my strength will likely advance to the next level. Moreover, this person had once swallowed quite a number of noble bloodlines. The strength of these bloodlines is sufficient for me to use. Chu Fengmian looked at young Master Xue and his heart was stirred. Young Master Xue's fortune was not inferior to Chu Fengmian's. Young Master Shui was only a genius from a third-grade continent. The geniuses from second-grade or even first-grade continents would be even more terrifying. However, if I obtain the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, young Master Shui will be trampled under my feet and will never be able to rise again. Chu Fengmian was already planning how to obtain the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Young Master Shui's gaze swept across the crowd from the throne. Beside him were a few ladies who served him respectfully and served him wine. Shui Gongzi, it seems like the people from the four great factions have already arrived. A man standing beside young Master Shui said softly. This man was Shui, one of young Master's most trusted subordinates. He stood beside young Master Shui at all times. If any accident happened, he would not hesitate to intervene and protect young Master Shui. For major factions, they're just a bunch of trash. Only Mu Bai can be considered a character. Qi Linshan and Sun Hai are newcomers this year. They're not even worth mentioning. When young Master Shui heard this, he spoke with disdain. By the way, what about the kid who killed Lin Shui? I haven't found him yet. That brat seems to know some secret techniques, making him difficult to find. Blood One replied in a respectful manner. That kid can even sever my secret technique. He does have some tricks up his sleeve. Looks like he's quite a character in this batch of newcomers. Young Master Shui looked at the Temple of Bones with greed in his eyes. The most important thing now is the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Once I obtain it, my flesh secret technique will be able to devour and refine it. It's a heavenly demon. I'm afraid it might even surpass my father. Emperor Gu of Gold Peak? Shui asked worriedly. Emperor Gu of Gold Peak was the Emperor Gu of the Avalon of Five Elements. The Avalon of Five Elements was also determined to obtain the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. If I obtain the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, will Emperor Gu of Gold Peak dare to cause trouble for my father? Young Master Shui said disdainfully. I came to the Avalon of Five Elements only to borrow its power. Do you really think I'll work for the Avalon of Five Elements? Sooner or later, the Avalon of Five Elements will be under my control. Not only young Master Shui, but almost all the warriors and demon gods present were plotting how to obtain the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Time ticked by. Chu Fengmian saw that the Temple of Bones seemed to be growing larger. Actually, it wasn't that it was getting bigger. It was just that a part of the Temple of Bones was originally buried underground. Now, they were continuously appearing from the underground. It was no wonder that the Temple of Bones had existed in the Nether Ghost region for a long time. It was just that it had always been buried underground and had only emerged today. Rumble. Rumble. There was a loud rumble. The Divine Temple of Bones was finally completely revealed, and its appearance was completely revealed. At the highest point of the Temple of Bones stood a terrifying demon god with a pair of wings on his back. This was the statue of the bronze heavenly demon. Below him, all the demons submitted to him. Asuras and Yakshas, no matter how noble their bloodlines were, had to submit to the bronze heavenly demon. Crack! The moment the Temple of Bones fully revealed itself, the restriction array that had been shrouding the Temple of Bones all this time suddenly shattered. The white bone gate that had been closed all this time also opened. The Temple of Bones has opened. Charge! Seeing the white bone gate open, countless warriors and demon gods looked at it as if they were looking at an open treasure trove. The extreme demonic will that was contained within it attracted the attention of everyone present. As soon as the bone door opened, countless cultivators and beast deities turned into streaks of light and charged toward it. However, before they could even get close to the white bone gate, the demonic will suddenly surged. In this surging demonic will, the demon race appeared like mountains and seas. It's the demon race legion. Some warriors exclaimed. The warriors and demon gods that were close to the white bone gate were all blasted to pieces by the demon race legion. Even some true emperors couldn't withstand the combined attacks of the demon race legion, let alone the warriors and demon gods present, who were all quasi-emperors. This Temple of Bones belongs to the demon race. Who dares to touch it? Kill them all. Standing in the heart of the demon race legion, a giant Azura king that was 40 to 50 meters tall roared loudly, commanding the demon race legion. At the same time, he instantly attacked, waving his bone sword and slashing toward the place where the warriors and demon gods were gathered. Chapter 1276. Azura King had the power of a 5 tribulation true emperor. His attacks were full of disdain. In just a blink of an eye, several cultivators and demon gods were killed by him. Azura King, how dare you slaughter the disciples of the sacred dragon's secret territory? An angry roar resounded from the sky as Azura King massacred. Following that, a figure suddenly descended from the sky. Emerald Sky Emperor Gu. Seeing the arrival of this figure, the disciples of the Holy Dragon's secret realm all revealed joyous expressions. The Emerald Heaven Ancient Emperor struck out with his palm towards the Azura King. Boom! Under this palm, the flames of the Azura King's body were extinguished by quite a bit. The bone spikes were also breaking. Emerald Sky Emperor Gu was worthy of being a 7 tribulation Emperor Gu. His strength had reached an unimaginable level. Effortlessly, Xiaoqian suppressed the Azura King, and even wanted to kill the Azura King on the spot. Humph! Just as the ancient emperor of the Emerald Heaven was planning to chase after the Azura King and kill him, the ancient emperor suddenly stopped. In the sky, another figure appeared. This figure casually pointed his finger at the ancient emperor of the Emerald Heavens. Heaven and earth collapse. This was the same finger that Chu Fengmian had suffered before. It seemed that the young emperor had made his move. The power of this finger was dozens of times stronger than when he attacked Chu Fengmian. This was the true strength of a young emperor. Young emperor. Even Emerald Sky Emperor Gu's expression changed when he felt the power of this finger. Beside him, countless spiritual energies appeared and turned into divine trees. In an instant, all of them used their full strength. Even Emerald Sky Emperor Gu didn't dare to be careless in front of the young emperor. Emerald Sky Emperor Gu, do you really think there's no one in the demon race? How dare you come to the Nether Ghost Realm? Today, none of you will leave alive. The young emperor roared coldly and sent another palm strike at Emerald Sky Emperor Gu. This palm strike was like the descent of a demonic god. It contained an immense demonic will that descended from the sky. It was also a killing move. The divine trees beside the ancient emperor of the Emerald Heaven were almost instantly shattered by this palm. Emerald Sky Emperor Gu was sent flying with just one move. Although he didn't suffer many injuries, he was far from being a match for the young emperor in terms of strength. Young emperor! Young emperor! Young emperor! Countless demons roared loudly when they saw this scene. Jin Feng! Duan Hai! Lin Tian! Are you all still not going to make your move? The Emerald Heaven Ancient Emperor roared as he was forced to retreat. At the same time, 3 figures appeared in the sky. Emperor Gu Emperor Gu. Emperor Gu Emperor Gu Emperor Lin Tian Emperor Emperor Lin Tian Lin Tian Emperor Emperor Gu. Emperor Gu from Avalon of 5 Elements, vast ocean capital, and Qilin Mountain also appeared. As soon as the 3 of them appeared, they attacked Xiao Di at the same time. Another 3 pieces of trash? What can you do even if the 4 of you work together? The young emperor didn't show any fear in his eyes. He was still as unconfident as before. Demonic will surged around him. He didn't seem to be at a disadvantage even though he was fighting 1 against 4. Who the hell is this young emperor? Even though Chu Fengmian had seen Xiao Di's strength before, his expression still changed when he saw Xiao Di fighting 1 against 4 without being at a disadvantage. This strength was close to the level of 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu. Moreover, this was only one of the young emperor's avatars. How terrifying would the young emperor's real body be? Fortunately, the young emperor had been deceived by Chu Fengmian's cultivation realm when he was dealing with him. Even a 5 tribulation true emperor wouldn't necessarily be able to survive that finger attack. The young emperor probably thought that Chu Fengmian was doomed and didn't use his full strength, allowing Chu Fengmian to escape. If the young emperor had used his full strength then, Chu Fengmian might not have survived. But now, the young emperor and the 4 Emperor Gu were in a stalemate in the air. Although the young emperor was strong enough to fight 1 against 4, it wasn't easy for him to defeat all 4 Emperor Gu at the same time. The 4 Emperor Gu and the young emperor were using all their strength to defeat their opponents and obtain the heavenly demon's remains. The shockwaves from their battle were almost unbearable for the quasi-emperors. A few cultivators who tried to get close to take advantage of the situation were killed by the shockwaves. This is our chance. The young emperor and the 4 Emperor Gu are fighting. This is our chance. Young noble Shui and the others' eyes lit up when they saw this. Now that the situation had been delayed, it was their chance. The throne that the bloody prince was sitting on suddenly transformed. Over 10 mystical weapons flew out from it and transformed into an enormous ark in mid-air. The disciples of the Avalon of 5 elements sat on the ark and flew towards the white bone door in a grandiose manner. Even the combined attack of the demonic army couldn't shake the power of the ark. Us too. Young Master Mu and the others were no longer excited when they saw young noble Shui taking the lead. They used their techniques and rushed towards the skeletal door. They all wanted to be the first to step into the white bone door. Whoever entered first would have the upper hand and would have a better chance of obtaining the heavenly demon's remains. Damn it. Kill. Kill these martial artists and demon gods. This treasure belongs to the young emperor. Yaksha King and Azura King roared. They commanded the army of demons and charged forward. Countless fierce battles broke out around the skeletal door. Good. The more chaotic, the better. The situation is chaotic too. I have a better chance. Chu Fengmian wasn't excited. The more chaotic the situation was, the better it was for him. Especially the 4 Emperor Gu. They were all fighting the young emperor and couldn't spare any attention. Chu Fengmian had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Charge! Chu Fengmian let out a roar and turned into a beam of light soaring into the sky, heading straight for the white bone door. The speed of the ray of light was beyond everyone's imagination. In an instant, Chu Fengmian overtook countless figures and approached the skeletal door. Who is it? What a fast ray of light! Let's attack together and stop him. Young Master Mu and the other disciples of the Sacred Dragon's secret territory gathered their spiritual energy and attacked at the same time. They closed in on Chu Fengmian. They had already locked onto Chu Fengmian. Countless martial techniques were launched towards Chu Fengmian. In an instant, more than 10 martial techniques were launched towards Chu Fengmian. Break! Under young noble Shui's coercion, they used all their strength to reinforce the ark. The power of this ark alone was equivalent to the combined power of several thousand quasi-emperors. It was probably comparable to Emperor Gu. Jianwang. Seal it off. When Chu Fengmian sensed the approaching ark, a sense of danger flashed through his heart. This power was comparable to Emperor Gu. It was not something that Chu Fengmian could resist. When the ark was about to hit Chu Fengmian's body, he instantly activated the power of Ancestor Jianwang. With this power, the surrounding space was completely frozen. Even the ark was now fixed in the air. Although the power of the ark was comparable to Emperor Gu, it was only a spiritual artifact after all. It was still far from being comparable to the real Emperor Gu. Chu Fengmian did not intend to fight with the ark. After sealing off the space around the ark, Chu Fengmian moved and flew toward the white bone door. His target was the Temple of Bones. As for young noble Shui, it would not be too late to kill him after Chu Fengmian obtained the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Boom! When young noble Shui controlled the ark and broke the seal of the surrounding space with great difficulty. Chu Fengmian's conveyance light had already flown into the distance and rushed into the Temple of Bones. Damn it! A trace of anger flashed across young noble Shui's eyes. How long had it been? With his status, it had been a long time since anyone dared to go against him. Moreover, all his enemies had been mercilessly crushed by him. But now, Chu Fengmian had escaped from his hands one after another. This made him feel extremely humiliated. Rush in. Once we enter the Temple of Bones, this brat will not be able to escape. Boom! The enormous ark rushed directly toward the white bone door. Many of the warriors and fey gods near the white bone door did not even have time to rejoice before the ark mercilessly crushed them from behind and rushed into the Temple of Bones. Young Master Mu and the others followed closely behind. Behind the ark, many figures rushed into the Temple of Bones. Although Chu Fengmian and young noble Shui had the advantage, the bronze heavenly demon skeleton was not something that could be obtained by having the advantage. No one would be willing to give up such a treasure until the very last moment. What a terrifying demonic will! The Temple of Bones was enormous. As soon as Chu Fengmian stepped into it, he could feel the terrifying demonic will. The demonic will here was beyond Chu Fengmian's imagination. It was comparable to the legendary demon realm where thousands of demons were born. Even though he was in the young emperor's body, Chu Fengmian could not feel such a terrifying demonic will. It seems that the bronze heavenly demon skeleton is most likely in the Temple of Bones. Although there had always been rumors that the bronze heavenly demon skeleton was in the Temple of Bones, seeing was believing. Until he saw it for himself, Chu Fengmian would not believe it. But looking at such a terrifying demonic will, even if it was not a bronze heavenly demon, it was most likely a demon god of the 10 heavenly demon level. Let's go! This is only the periphery. The heart of the demonic will is where the bronze heavenly demon skeleton is. Just as Chu Fengmian's body moved, a gust of demonic will swept over like a wave in an instant. In the heart of the demonic will, there were many demon clans. These demon clans were half real and half illusory. They did not seem to have a physical body, but their every move had the ability to captivate people's souls. Void Demon. Chu Fengmian took a glance and recognized these demon clans. They were the Void Demon clan, which was known as the most bizarre clan. The Void Demon was born in the heart of the ancient demon realm. It was said that they fed on the souls of living creatures. Once devoured by the Void Demon, the souls of warriors and fey gods would be devoured as well, turning them into mindless fools. Chapter 1278. A Void Devil was definitely one of the most difficult devil clans for martial artists and demon gods to deal with. Although they weren't strong, they were extremely difficult to deal with. The only way to deal with them was to suppress them and refine them bit by bit. There are even void demons in this white bone shrine. Surprise flashed across Chu Fengmian's eyes. According to the ancient records, this kind of void demon would only appear in the most ancient demon domain. Unexpectedly, there were void demons in this white bone shrine. They surged towards Chu Fengmian along with the tide of demonic will. Destroy! Chu Fengmian's eyes moved, and the battle dragon claw fell mercilessly. Many of these void demons were at the divine force realm or the undying realm. In front of the battle dragon claw, they were unable to fight back at all. They were killed on the spot and completely crushed. However, in the blink of an eye, those crushed void demons gathered together again. It was as if being crushed was nothing to them. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they roared at Chu Fengmian again. For void demons, as long as there was enough demonic will, they could be reborn. The demonic will in the white bone shrine had reached a terrifying level. These void demons were practically immortal and could be reborn in an instant. It's as troublesome as the rumors say. Chu Fengmian knew that the void demons were indeed one of the most difficult demons to deal with, just like what was recorded in the ancient records. The only way to deal with them was to suppress them and bring them to a place without demonic will. Only by killing them again and again could they dissipate and be completely killed. However, this method was troublesome. Chu Fengmian had a better choice now. King of the Heart Demons! Chu Fengmian shouted. The King of the Heart Demons appeared behind him. When the King of the Heart Demons saw the group of void demons, his eyes shone with joy. Almost without needing Chu Fengmian's order, the King of the Mental Demons directly attacked. He grabbed a void demon and swallowed it. The demonic will of the void demon was devoured by the King of the Heart Demons. Demons could devour each other. Now, the King of the Heart Demons could deal with the void demons. In an instant, the foe demons that had rushed over with the tide of demonic will had become the Heart Demon King's meal. They were all mercilessly devoured by the Heart Demon King. Alright, in this temple of bones, the demons are like fish in water. I have the king of the inner demons, so I don't fear these demons. Especially these void devils. Just enough to buy me some time. Chu Fengmian's figure flickered as he flew towards the interior of the Temple of Bones. At the same time, he could see waves of demon intent surging toward the white bone door with countless illusionary demons. Young Master Shui and the others had just entered with the Ark when they encountered countless void demons. Young Noble Shui and the others did not possess the same ability as Chu Fengmian, who could use the Heart Demon King to devour the demons. They could only suppress the void demons one by one. In this way, he would definitely stall for time and give Chu Fengmian an opportunity. Even young Master Mu and the others were held back without exception. Damn it, how can this brat be so fast? Could it be that he wasn't entangled by the void devil? Young Noble Shui looked at Chu Fengmian's escaping light flying towards the interior of the Temple of Bones. His eyes were filled with anger. Everyone, attacked together and suppressed the void demons quickly. Under young Noble Shui's command, countless martial artists and demonic deities flew out from the Ark and hurriedly suppressed the void demons. After a long time, they finally suppressed the void demons one by one. At this time, Chu Fengmian's escaping light had already disappeared. Chase after him quickly. Young Noble Shui roared in exasperation. He had already suffered under Chu Fengmian's hands time and time again. He had already smeared the bronze heavenly demon skeleton in the Temple of Bones for a long time. He could not let Chu Fengmian get ahead of him. The Ark flew majestically towards the interior of the Temple of Bones. The void demons that they encountered along the way were mercilessly crushed by the Ark. Young Master Mu and the others followed closely behind the Ark. With the Ark leading the way, it was enough to save them a lot of trouble. Look! Those are... Suddenly, a martial artist pointed to the side and shouted loudly. On both sides of the Temple of White Bones, there were altars. On these altars, there were many spiritual weapons and spiritual elixirs placed on them. One could even vaguely see streaks of golden light on the altars. These streaks of golden light were none other than the laws of heaven and earth. The laws of heaven and earth were taken away from the altars. There were many spiritual weapons placed beside the laws of heaven and earth. They were all heaven-grade spiritual weapons and sacred-grade spiritual elixirs. The laws of heaven and earth. Heaven-grade spiritual weapons. There are so many of them. Quick, I found it first. It's mine. Many martial artists rushed over as if they had gone crazy. For these boundary emperors, the laws of heaven and earth were precious treasures that were hard to obtain. Even if the laws of heaven and earth were not suitable for them, they could still exchange them. The bronze heavenly demon skeleton was a precious treasure that they might not be able to obtain. However, the laws of heaven and earth that were placed in front of them were priceless. They could not resist. Kill! This law of heaven and earth is mine. Who dares to snatch it from me? One of the boundary emperors took the lead and rushed to an altar. He grabbed a law of heaven and earth and forced back many boundary emperors who wanted to snatch it. Just as he was about to show some pride, several quasi-emperors suddenly joined forces and blasted his head into smithereens. At the same time, several figures flew over and continued to snatch it. The situation was so chaotic that it seemed like there was no end to it. Young Master Mu, are we going to snatch it too? Many of the association of Emperor Mu's disciples who stood beside young Master Mu were excited when they saw the laws of heaven and earth. They could not wait to snatch it. However, without young Master Mu's order, none of them dared to act on their own. It's just some laws of heaven and earth. This Temple of Bones was once a place of worship for the bronze heavenly demon. There must be many treasures inside. Let's rush in and not fight with these trash. Young Master Mu took a glance and did not stop. He continued to fly into the Temple of Bones. He was not the only one. Young Master Shui, who was controlling the Ark, did the same. Chapter 1279. Since young Noble Shui and young Master Mu were here today, they naturally came for the bronze heavenly devil's skeleton. A few worldly laws weren't enough to catch their attention. Young Noble Shui controlled the ark without any hesitation and flew towards the interior of the temple. Rumble outside the altars, countless cultivators and demonic gods were still fighting over the treasures. A series of explosions resounded as the skeletal door was opened again. However, this time, countless demons swarmed into it. Azura King and Yiksha were the first to rush in. They saw the cultivators and demonic gods fighting over the treasures and immediately gave the order. The group of devils roared and attacked the cultivators and demonic gods. After entering the White Bone Temple, a large number of Devil Clan legions were boosted by the terrifying devil will of the White Bone Temple, and their strength improved by several times. They began a frenzied massacre of the cultivators and demonic gods. In a flash, several hundred cultivators and demonic gods died at the hands of the demonic legions. Azura King and Yiksha didn't pay attention to the cultivators and directly flew towards the interior of the temple. The entire Temple of Bones became more and more chaotic. The devils are interfering as well. Chu Fengmian sensed the chaos outside and knew what was going on. Azura King and Yiksha King were terrifying characters comparable to 5 Tribulation True Emperors. Even Chu Fengmian felt that they wouldn't be difficult to deal with. Let's find the bronze heavenly devil's skeleton first. Chu Fengmian's figure flickered again and again. Around him, countless altars flew past. On each of these altars, there were countless treasures, including the laws of heaven and earth, saint-grade spiritual pills, various spiritual stones, and all sorts of other treasures. This White Bone Temple was once a place to worship the bronze heavenly demon. Countless demons under the bronze heavenly demon had slain warriors and fey gods and placed their treasures in this White Bone Temple as offerings to the bronze heavenly demon. This Temple of Bones was like a huge treasure trove. Even Chu Fengmian gasped in amazement. With a wave of his hand, Chu Fengmian could practically collect all of these treasures. Take them all. Swallow the heavens. With a thought, Chu Fengmian pushed the power of the heaven-devouring beast's heart to its limits. Suddenly, it turned into a huge vortex in front of Chu Fengmian. Countless heavenly laws, saint-grade spiritual pills, and countless spiritual weapons were sucked into the whirlpool and were devoured by it. A large amount of wealth was collected by Chu Fengmian and fell into the palm of his hand. Damn it! Damn it! Not far away, a gigantic ark was flying over. Young Master Shui, who was standing on the ark, saw Chu Fengmian collecting countless treasures with a single glance. Chu Fengmian collected countless heaven-grade spirit artifacts, saint-grade spirit pills, and the laws of heaven and earth. That sort of wealth was something that even he did not covet. Yet, at that moment, he was watching as Chu Fengmian collected it. This made young Noble Blood's heart bleed. If it weren't for Chu Fengmian, all these treasures would have belonged to him. But now, he was following behind Chu Fengmian all the way. Even the leftovers were not left for him to drink. Along the way, he passed by countless altars. Other than the one that Chu Fengmian purposely left behind, the rest were all collected by Chu Fengmian. When he arrived at the Temple of White Bones, he used all his strength to kill his way in. Yet, he was unable to obtain even a little bit of treasure. This made him so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Especially when an altar suddenly appeared in front of him. It was so big that it was frightening. On the altar, there were a total of 7 spiritual swords. Every single one of them was a heaven-grade spirit artifact. It was a sword formation. Although there were only 7 of them, the power of the sword formation was not inferior to young Noble Blood's arc when they were combined. Treasure. This sword formation is not inferior to the treasure of the ark. Young Noble Blood's eyes turned red when he saw the sword formation. He was filled with greed. He had spent his entire life's wealth to forge this ark. It could be said that it was his strongest trump card. Especially this sword formation. It was mainly used for killing. When the ark was used against enemies, it would be even more powerful. When young Noble Blood saw the 7 spiritual swords, he immediately aimed his eyes at them. He wanted to obtain them immediately. Blood sacrifice of all things. Blood is the source. Young noble blood suddenly roared. The bodies of many martial artists and demonic deities on the ark suddenly swelled up. Their bodies swelled up to an astonishing level. The blood chi in their bodies surged. Under young noble blood's finger, all of them suddenly shattered. The blood chi filled the air and filled the ark. Young noble blood waved his hand. The blood chi burned and turned into the power of the ark. Using this burning blood chi to stimulate the power of the ark's speed increased by a few notches as it flew towards the 7 spiritual swords. He planned to be one step ahead and obtain the 7 spiritual swords. You want to compete with me? Chu Fengmian saw young noble blood's action and suddenly sneered. When the ark approached the 7 spiritual swords, Insulin's figure suddenly moved behind Chu Fengmian. The sudden appearance of this figure caught young noble Shui off guard. What is this thing? Before young noble blood could react, the king of the heart demons suddenly appeared. Young noble blood's eyes suddenly fell into an illusory land. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Chu Fengmian suddenly grabbed the 7 spiritual swords. In an instant, Chu Fengmian caught them in his hand. Then, a ray of sword intent exploded from the 7 spiritual swords. It meant that the 7 spiritual swords had been taken by Chu Fengmian and had recognized him as their master. No! Young noble blood woke up just in time to see Chu Fengmian take the 7 spiritual swords. He was heartbroken. These treasures should have belonged to him. Now, Chu Fengmian had taken all of them. Chu Fengmian didn't even leave the many treasures on the huge altar for young noble blood. They were all taken by Chu Fengmian. Now, there was only an empty altar in front of young noble blood. Thank you, young noble blood, for opening the way for me. I'll leave these demons to you. Chu Fengmian laughed at young noble blood. His figure suddenly flashed and turned into a ray of light, flying toward the interior of the white bone shrine. Chapter 1280. Hearing Chu Fengmian's words, young noble blood was furious. However, he didn't have the time to move the boat and chase after Chu Fengmian. A few demon kings suddenly appeared on the huge altar. They immediately sensed young noble blood's presence and rushed toward him with bared fangs and brandished claws. At this moment, young noble blood finally understood the meaning of Chu Fengmian's words. Now that Chu Fengmian was collecting the treasures, he was left to clean up the mess. Young noble blood was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. His angry roar echoed throughout the entire Temple of Bones. Chu Fengmian! Little bastard! I, Shui Qianjin, will not kill you. I swear I'm not human. Chu Fengmian didn't care about young noble blood's angry roar. After all, his relationship with young noble blood was already irreconcilable. It was just right to cause trouble for him. Chu Fengmian flew in the Temple of Bones. The king of the inner demon appeared and opened the path in front of him. Almost all the demons they encountered along the way were devoured by the king of the inner demon. As for Chu Fengmian, he took out the 7 spiritual swords and carefully examined them. The words Ancient River were carved on the 7 spiritual swords. It seemed that it was once the owner of the 7 spiritual swords, or it was related to the 2 words. Since it's called Ancient River, let's call it the Ancient River Sword Formation. This sword formation was a great weapon for killing. Especially with Chu Fengmian's sword intent, it was enough to unleash the full power of this sword formation. Slaughtering demons and beasts was a piece of cake. Other than this sword formation, Chu Fengmian didn't encounter any other treasures along the way. The bronze heavenly demon's skeleton should be in front. Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered as he suddenly looked into the distance. In the distance, behind the countless demonic wills, there was a huge white bone door that was open. This was a secret chamber located in the deepest part of the Temple of Bones. Chu Fengmian could clearly feel the terrifying demonic wills that were surging out from this secret chamber. In the Temple of Bones, almost everyone's demonic wills were surging out from this secret chamber. In fact, Chu Fengmian could faintly see a gigantic figure sitting in the Temple of White Bones. The figure's body was burning with flames. Under the flames, one could see the bronze skin. Bronze Heavenly Demon. When Chu Fengmian saw the figure, the name of the bronze heavenly demon appeared in his mind. This figure was exactly the same as the legendary bronze heavenly demon. Didn't the bronze heavenly demon fall 1,000,000 years ago? He said it was a skeleton. Why is it like this? The moment Chu Fengmian saw the bronze heavenly demon, his mind was in a mess. After 1,000,000 years, even a celestial being's skin and flesh would have disappeared and turned into bones. Even a venerable sovereign's skeleton would not be left behind. However, the bronze heavenly demon before him looked no different from when it was alive. If Chu Fengmian hadn't known that if the bronze heavenly demon was truly alive, it would have been able to kill Chu Fengmian with a single glance. Chu Fengmian really believed that the bronze celestial demon was still alive. 1,000,000 years, an immortal body. Whoever can obtain the remains of the bronze heavenly devil is simply a supreme immortal weapon, and its value is even higher. Chu Fengmian's face was expressionless. This was the remains of a demon god that surpassed a venerable sovereign. The bronze heavenly demon was the most terrifying existence in the demon godland. It was one of the 10 heavenly demons, an existence similar to the demon ancestor. If Chu Fengmian obtained its remains, it would be enough to make Chu Fengmian's strength advance by leaps and bounds. Jianwang transformation. In an instant, Chu Fengmian's figure flickered and rushed toward the bronze heavenly demon's remains. However, when Chu Fengmian was about to reach the bronze heavenly demon's remains, the eyes of the bronze heavenly demon suddenly opened. Endless demonic will burst out from the bronze heavenly demon's remains, turning into a huge wave of demonic will. If anyone was drawn into the demonic will, they would be doomed eternally, and might even die on the spot. Chu Fengmian's figure kept retreating. He even unsheathed the ancestral dragon supreme sword and the titanic godly sword at the same time. He used the sword god sword will to resist the erosion of the demonic will, but he was almost swept away by the demonic will. How terrifying! This bronze heavenly demon has been dead for 1,000,000 years. How can it still possess such terrifying power? Chu Fengmian felt a lingering fear when he sensed the demonic will. He looked at the bronze heavenly demon's remains, not daring to move forward. Even a venerable sovereign would die on the spot after 1,000,000 years, let alone a bronze heavenly demon that had been dead for 1,000,000 years. Chu Fengmian didn't expect the bronze heavenly demon's remains to be so terrifying. Even the ancient emperor might not be able to withstand that blast of demonic will head-on. Fortunately, Chu Fengmian reacted quickly and retreated to the edge, suffering less than 1% of its power. Even so, Chu Fengmian was almost caught up in it and lost his life on the spot. Am I supposed to return empty-handed? No, I'm already here and I've seen the bronze heavenly demon's remains with my own eyes. I can't give up now. Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered. Suddenly, a drop of blood essence flew out from his fingertip. It was the drop of blood essence of the 10 heavenly demon. After seeing the bronze heavenly demon's remains, Chu Fengmian could recognize that this drop of blood essence belonged to the bronze heavenly demon. Their powers were the same. Go! Chu Fengmian pointed his finger. The drop of blood essence flew out and blocked Chu Fengmian's path. Chu Fengmian flew toward the bronze heavenly demon's remains again. This time, as he gradually approached the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, the bronze heavenly demon skeleton didn't open its eyes like the previous time. It's working! Chu Fengmian's eyes flashed with joy. With this drop of blood essence, Chu Fengmian really had a chance to take the bronze heavenly demon's remains. Boom! Just as Chu Fengmian was about to take another step forward, 2 figures appeared in front of him. 2 more figures appeared outside the door. They were none other than the Azura King and the Ixia King. The 2 of them had somehow overtaken Prince Shui and the others and chased after him. Oh no! He's taking the bronze heavenly demon's remains. Kill him! How dare a brat like him lay his hands on the supreme treasure of our demon clan? Azura King and the Yaksha Demon King saw Chu Fengmian's actions and instantly understood what he was doing. The bronze heavenly demon was their demon ancestor. His remains were the supreme treasure of the demon clan. How could they let others take it? Chapter 1281. Azura King and Yaksha. On the other side of the phone, two devil kings comparable to 5 tribulation true emperors attacked at the same time. Furthermore, in the Temple of Bones, the strength of all demons had to be at their peak. Almost in an instant, Chu Fengmian sensed the danger. What a bad time. Anger flashed through Chu Fengmian's eyes. Given another minute, Chu Fengmian was confident that he could collect the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. These two bastards actually came at this time. However, this wasn't the time for him to complain. Chu Fengmian made his move almost at the same time. A figure suddenly flew out from behind him. It was the king of the inner demon. He directly rushed towards Yaksha and engaged in a fierce battle with the Yaksha. At the same time, 7 spirit swords flew out of their sheaths from Chu Fengmian's palm. This was the ancient river sword array that Chu Fengmian had just obtained. All of a sudden, 7 spiritual swords flew out and circled around the Azura King, forming a killing array. The King of the Heart Demons and the ancient river sword formation could only delay the Azura King and Yaksha King. However, it was enough for Chu Fengmian. His figure sped up and rushed in the direction of the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. At the same time, the power of the drop of essence blood in Chu Fengmian's hand was pushed to the extreme. As Chu Fengmian tapped his finger, the drop of essence blood gradually entered the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Chu Fengmian felt a sense of resistance as soon as the drop of essence blood was injected into the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Although the bronze skyfiend had been dead for millions of years, its consciousness still remained. Given the dignity of the 10 heavenly demons, how could they be controlled by others? Chu Fengmian even sensed that the bronze heavenly demon was about to devour the power of that drop of essence blood. Chu Fengmian's expression changed. If he wanted to subdue the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, this drop of essence blood was Chu Fengmian's greatest trump card. If he lost this drop of essence blood, all of Chu Fengmian's plans would be ruined. The power of creation. Suppress him. In an instant, Chu Fengmian's heart stirred and he struck out with his palm, sending a stream of the power of creation into the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Chu Fengmian's sword Dao and bloodline power were no match for the bronze celestial demon. Only the most powerful force in the world, the power of creation, could stand a chance. The power of creation injected itself into the bronze skyfiend skeleton and began fusing with the drop of blood essence, resisting the bronze skyfiend skeleton's constant devouring. Rumble. At this moment, there was another rumbling sound. An enormous object flew out from the door. It was the Ark, and on it stood Sir Blood, young Master Mu, and the others. Unbeknownst to them, the Bloody Prince had joined forces with young Master Mu and the others. Some of the geniuses from the Qilin Mountain and the vast ocean city had joined forces with them too. No one wanted to see Chu Fengmian monopolize the treasures of the Temple of Bones. Chu Fengmian's current aptitude was already monstrous. If they allowed him to monopolize the treasures, no one would be able to compete with him. The moment the Ark appeared, countless gazes fell upon Chu Fengmian. Their expressions changed drastically when they saw him trying to subdue the bronze celestial demon skeleton. Quick! Stop him! There was no need for anyone to say anything. Many experts on the Ark took action at the same time. Waves of spirit energy began to converge and turned into a river of spirit energy, aiming straight for Chu Fengmian. Even a 5 or 6 tribulation true emperor wouldn't be able to withstand this river of spirit energy. At this moment, more than 100 quasi-emperors took action at the same time. There was no lack of experts on the level of Sir Blood and young Master Mu. Damn it! Chu Fengmian's expression remained unchanged. The arrival of Azura King and Yaksha was no longer a problem. Now, even Sir Blood's group had rushed over. Power of creation, come! In a flash, Chu Fengmian made a decision in his mind. He moved his hand and the power of creation was taken from the bronze celestial demon skeleton. At the same time, Chu Fengmian's figure flashed and a sky-ripping claw appeared above Chu Fengmian's head. It struck towards the long river of spiritual energy and forcibly tore a gap in it. Chu Fengmian's figure directly escaped through this gap. The drop of blood essence was also left behind in the bronze celestial demon skeleton. Chu Fengmian had done this on purpose. The drop of bronze heavenly demon essence blood had yet to be refined by the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. It would be of great use at a critical moment. That brat escaped. Sir Blood's face revealed a hint of joy after seeing Chu Fengmian's escape. He had fought with Chu Fengmian countless times. This time, he finally gained the upper hand against Chu Fengmian. His gaze then shifted towards the bronze celestial demon skeleton. The bronze celestial demon skeleton was once the skeleton of 10 celestial demons. Such a treasure was something that even Sir Blood yearned for. All of you, die! Sir Blood's face suddenly became ferocious. He controlled the ark and swept it in all directions. Young Master Mu and the others who were standing on the ark were suddenly sent flying by a surge of spiritual energy. Then, they were crushed by the ark. Sir Blood, you! Some of the warriors who had just joined forces with Sir Blood did not expect Sir Blood's attitude to change so quickly. They were still joining forces a moment ago. In the next moment, Sir Blood wanted to kill them. You trash, you just want to use me to get close to the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Now that Chu Fengmian has been forced away, you guys are useless. Go to hell. Sir Blood sneered and controlled the ark. A few warriors who were near the ark were crushed on the spot. The remaining warriors, such as young Master Mu and the others, seemed to have been prepared. The moment Sir Blood turned hostile, they hurriedly retreated and escaped. All the warriors were either crushed by the ark or forced to retreat. Only Sir Blood was left. The bronze celestial demon skeleton. It's mine! Sir Blood's eyes lit up when he saw the bronze celestial demon skeleton. He revealed a greedy look and immediately reached out to grab the bronze celestial demon skeleton. A bunch of ants, how dare you touch my item? Suddenly, a cold snort came from the sky. Then, a huge bloody handprint appeared. Chapter 1282. At that moment, Bloody Prince was overjoyed, thinking that the bronze heavenly demon skeleton was within his reach. However, in the next instant, the bloody handprint shattered all of his thoughts. Crack! The bloody handprint that was flying through the air instantly bombarded the ark. The ark was instantly smashed to smithereens. Dozens of heaven-grade spiritual weapons were destroyed by the palm. There was only one person who could do this. The young emperor. The young emperor who had fought 4 ancient emperors alone and was not at a disadvantage. Even now, the young emperor had reached out to grab the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Pfft! Young noble blood was sent flying as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Although his injuries weren't serious, his heart was bleeding from the pain. This ark was something he had spent a fortune to purchase, over 10 heaven-grade spirit artifacts, and then condensed with a unique method. Now, the ark was destroyed by the palm. The young emperor has made his move. If he didn't leave, I would be the one who died. Chu Fengmian hid in a corner of the secret chamber, observing the young emperor's every move. Chu Fengmian had keenly noticed the changes in the sky when young noble Shui had made his move. Chu Fengmian could tell that the young emperor could no longer hold himself back and was about to attack. That was why Chu Fengmian hurriedly retreated. He didn't expect Bloody Prince to be blinded by greed. He really wanted to take the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, which led to the young emperor destroying the ark. Chu Fengmian didn't have the ark to protect him. If he took the blow, he would die on the spot. Young emperor, don't you think you've gone too far by attacking a junior? Not long after the young emperor appeared, several figures arrived. They were the 4 Emperor Gu. Emperor Gu of the Golden Peak said coldly to the young emperor. After all, Bloody Prince was a disciple of the Avalon of 5 elements. This bronze heavenly demon is the demon ancestor. His skeleton should belong to us demons. How dare you come to the Nether Ghost region to steal it? No matter who you are, whether you're a junior or a senior, don't think about leaving here alive. Xiao Di snorted. You 4 pieces of trash, do you really think that I can't deal with you? Bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Collect. Xiao Di suddenly shouted and reached out to grab the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. The demonic intent of the bronze heavenly demon skeleton was unable to do anything to the young emperor. The young emperor held it in his palm. Don't even think about it. Jin Feng Emperor Gu, Cui Tian Emperor Gu, and Jin Feng Emperor Gu saw Xiao Di's action and shouted at the same time. They activated countless martial techniques and bombarded Xiao Di with them. After all, their objective was to obtain the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. If Xiao Di got his hands on it, all their efforts would be in vain. Inside the Temple of Bones, the 4 Emperor Gu and the young emperor were engaged in another bloody battle. Be it the 4 Emperor Gu or the young emperors, all of them wanted the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. He vowed not to give up until he achieved his goal. Countless warriors, Yao immortals, and even a few devil race cultivators were stunned. When they arrived, they were all killed on the spot. You're a hindrance in this temple. Fight outside if you dare. Xiao Di snorted and grabbed the bronze heavenly demon skeleton in a flash, flying out of the Temple of Bones. After him. Jin Feng Emperor Gu, Cui Tian Emperor Gu, and the others didn't back down. They turned into streaks of light and chased after him. Neither the young emperor nor the 4 Emperor Gu could do anything to their opponents for the time being. Chu Fengmian was well aware of this. His gaze suddenly fell on Sir Shui. Given his strength, he couldn't interfere in the battle between the young emperor and the 4 Emperor Gu. However, this was the perfect opportunity for him to take revenge. This bloody noble had tried to deal with Chu Fengmian several times before and had even ruined his plans. Now that his ark had been destroyed and he was severely injured, it was Chu Fengmian's best chance. Battle Dragon Claw. Chu Fengmian's gaze locked onto Sir Shui. Suddenly, Chu Fengmian laughed and unleashed his power, clawing at Sir Shui. Chu Fengmian couldn't interfere in the battle for the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. However, this was Sir Shui, a person of noble status. His body must have had a lot of amazing encounters. If Chu Fengmian devoured him, Chu Fengmian's strength would improve. Many of the countless laws of heaven and earth in Sir Shui's body were useful to Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian could even sense a dragon bloodline from Blood Prince. Clearly, he had once devoured an extremely noble dragon. If Chu Fengmian were to devour him, it would be enough to raise Chu Fengmian's bloodline. Sir Shui was someone Chu Fengmian must kill. Therefore, Chu Fengmian wouldn't let go of this opportunity. He didn't hold back and unleashed his full strength, striking Battle Dragon Claw at Sir Shui's body. Crack! The attack from the Battle Dragon Claw had exceeded Shui Gongzi's expectations. Before he could react, he was mercilessly struck in the chest. A bloody aura burst out from young noble Shui's forehead. This blood chi turned into a barrier in front of him, blocking the attack. Emperor Gu's blood essence. Chu Fengmian could tell that this blood chi was Emperor Gu's blood essence. Every drop of Emperor Gu's blood essence was precious. Losing a drop would take at least 100 years to recover. It seemed like Blood God Emperor Gu didn't care about Sir Shui. He was willing to leave a drop of blood essence in Sir Shui's body. This drop of blood essence was enough to withstand any attack from Emperor Gu. With this drop of blood essence, Sir Shui was able to withstand the Battle Dragon Claw's attack. It's you! Chu Fengmian, how dare you sneak attack me? You didn't expect that I have a drop of father's blood essence in me. It's impossible for you to sneak attack me. Sir Shui looked at Chu Fengmian, his eyes filled with murderous intent. I was about to kill you. I thought you had escaped. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me today. Alright, I lost the ark and I need to vent my anger. Today, you shall suffer my wrath. Sir Shui was furious when Xiao Di destroyed the ark with a single strike. However, no matter how angry he was, he didn't dare to vent his anger on Xiao Di. Even his father, Blood God Emperor Gu, didn't dare to go against Xiao Di. Now that he saw Chu Fengmian, he wanted to vent his anger and murderous intent on Chu Fengmian. Chapter 1283. Blood Noble's unique secret technique was unleashed. The sky was filled with the blood of the demon deities that were killed by the young emperor and the 4 Emperor Gu. Under young Noble Shue's control, the blood essences surged around his body, and they suddenly turned into an armor. This armor was made from the blood of countless demon deities. Although it wasn't a spirit treasure, it was much stronger than a heaven spirit treasure. Ordinary sovereigns wouldn't be able to break it. Moreover, this armor, which was made from blood essence, was the most suitable item for young Master Xue. Young Master Xue's power and the armor's power had already merged into one. It covered young Master Xue's body from head to toe, turning him into a steel giant. At the same time, Blood Prince's aura fused with the armor, causing his strength to increase by several times. His every move had the power to tear apart space. Bloody Godly Fist. Blood Noble condensed his armor and punched towards Chu Fengmian. The moment he punched, the entire temple shook. This punch had reached the level of a 4 tribulation or even a 5 tribulation true emperor. At the same time, Blood Noble rushed towards Chu Fengmian with a ferocious expression. Dragon fighting in the wild. Chu Fengmian's eyes flashed with a hint of a sneer. His body suddenly moved and turned into a gigantic primordial war dragon in the sky. On the body of the primordial war dragon, there were a total of 36,000 spirit designs on its surface. Instantly, its appearance began to change. Sky-tearing. Earth-tearing. Boom! These 2 dragon claws contained all of Chu Fengmian's strength. They exploded in an instant and collided with Blood Noble's armor in the sky. Crack! The armor of the Blood Prince let out creaking sounds as a crack appeared on it. After that, it started cracking apart completely, turning into shards before disappearing into thin air. What? The moment the Blood Noble's blood essence armor was shattered, a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. His blood armor was enough to withstand the full power of a 4 or 5 tribulation true emperor. But now, it was shattered by Chu Fengmian. A hint of panic suddenly flashed through his mind. The instant he exchanged blows with Chu Fengmian, he suddenly understood that Chu Fengmian's strength had already far exceeded his imagination. Blood escape. Whoosh! In an instant, those shattered essence blood armors suddenly melted. Clusters of pure blood aura began to merge into young Master Xue's body. His body turned into a blood-red ray of light and quickly fled out of the Temple of White Bones. You want to escape after falling into my hands? Ancient River Sword Array! Out! Boom! With a thought from Chu Fengmian, the ancient river sword array changed direction from beside the Azura King and flew towards the Bloody Prince. The 7 spiritual swords formed a perfect sword formation. Even the slightest bit of spiritual power couldn't pass through the range of the sword formation. It forced young Noble Xue's escape light to retreat. Looking at the ancient river sword array before him, young Noble Xue's heart was bleeding. The ancient river sword array had almost fallen into his hands. Unfortunately, Chu Fengmian was 1 step ahead of him. Now, it was him who was forced into a desperate situation by the ancient river sword array. Chu Fengmian, my father is the blood god Emperor Gu. If you dare to kill me, you will also die. My father's anger isn't something you can withstand. Even the sacred dragon secret realm won't be able to protect you. Young Noble Xue's face showed some panic. He hurriedly brought up his father. This was his last resort. Given young Noble Xue's arrogance, he had already experienced many dangers. However, his father, the ancient emperor of the blood god, had resolved all of these crises. After all, no one was willing to bear the anger of the blood god Emperor Gu. This time, it's my loss. I will leave this Temple of White Bones now and never compete with you again. What do you think? Young Noble Xue stared at Chu Fengmian and hurriedly said. At the same time, a cold glint flashed across his eyes. As long as he could leave this place alive, he could go back and persuade his father, the blood god Emperor Gu, to deal with Chu Fengmian. No matter how strong Chu Fengmian was, how could he escape from the hands of the Emperor Gu? Once the blood god Emperor Gu struck, Chu Fengmian would definitely die. Hearing young noble Shue's words, Chu Fengmian suddenly burst into laughter. Young noble Shue's face turned gloomy when he heard Chu Fengmian's laughter. It seemed like Chu Fengmian had never taken his words seriously. However, young noble Shui was a flexible person today. He had fallen into Chu Fengmian's hands. As long as Chu Fengmian didn't kill him, he would accept any conditions that Chu Fengmian offered. Young noble Shui understood this principle very well. Chu Fengmian, I know that I have offended you in the past. How about this? You can state your conditions. As long as it is within my capabilities, I will fulfill them. What do you want? Heaven-grade spiritual weapons? Saint-grade spiritual elixirs? Or our Avalon of 5 elements cultivation methods and secret techniques? I can give you all of them. Young noble Shui smiled and spoke to Chu Fengmian without any hostility. Instead, he seemed to be flattering Chu Fengmian. Moreover, I know that you have some conflicts with Mubai. I can also join forces with you to deal with Mubai. How about, no need? Chu Fengmian interrupted before young noble Shui could finish. You are not qualified to join forces with me. Are you done with your last words? If you are, you can die in peace. You! Young noble Shui's smile froze when he saw Chu Fengmian's stubbornness. His expression turned ugly. With his status, even a 6th tribulation true emperor or the Golden Peak Emperor Gu of 5 elements had to be polite to him. Now, he was begging Chu Fengmian in a servile manner. However, Chu Fengmian didn't give him any face. Chu Fengmian, don't go too far. Do you dare to kill me today? Do you dare to kill me? You will also be buried with me. Young noble Shui glared at Chu Fengmian and spoke viciously. At that moment, he no longer feigned his attitude. Instead, he revealed a somewhat ferocious expression. If you want to live, then let me go today and apologize properly, slap. Before the bloody noble could finish his sentence, Chu Fengmian suddenly made a move. A slap landed on his face. Young noble Shui's face swelled up and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Are you threatening me? Chapter 1284. Blood God Emperor Gu, is it? If he knows what's good for him, he won't provoke me anymore. If he's courting death and provoking me, he'll be able to accompany you in death soon. What blood God Emperor Gu? Even if young Master Shui had a shocking background, what did Chu Fengmian have to fear? You're audacious. You don't know what's good for you. Young Master Shui's expression changed drastically. Although he had been defeated by Chu Fengmian, he had always disrespected his father, Blood God Emperor Gu. It should be known that Blood God Emperor Gu was considered an elite even in Emperor Gu's land. Many Emperor Gu were fearless of him. Chu Fengmian's words were not only disdainful of him, but also disdainful of Blood God Emperor Gu. How could he tolerate such words? You're finished. My father will definitely kill you. Even if you run to the ends of the earth. The sacred dragon mystery realm will not be able to protect you. There will be no place for you in this vast world. The threat in young Master Shui's words was obvious. He didn't believe that Chu Fengmian wasn't afraid of Blood God Emperor Gu. In this world, Blood God Emperor Gu wasn't invincible. There were indeed peerless elites who were even stronger than Blood God Emperor Gu. However, Chu Fengmian didn't belong to this category. 99% of the warriors would take such a threat seriously. After all, no one would be willing to provoke Emperor Gu. Even other Emperor Gu wouldn't be willing to do so. However, Chu Fengmian was an exception. Chu Fengmian had never been afraid of anything in his life. He killed those who deserved it. Those who Chu Fengmian wanted to kill deserved to die. At the same time, regardless of their background, Chu Fengmian would kill them without hesitation. Just you wait. Blood God Emperor Gu will be buried with you. Chu Fengmian sneered and sized up young Master Shui. However, you have many good bloodlines, as well as the laws of heaven and earth. Very good, give them all to me. Suddenly, Chu Fengmian pointed his finger at Bloody Noble. Then, a surge of spiritual energy turned into a palm and grabbed at Bloody Noble. The palm transformed into a gigantic vortex around the Blood Prince. The moment he felt the vortex, young Noble Shui let out a miserable shriek. Father, save me. However, he was simply unable to send his words out. His body was mercilessly devoured by the vortex. Streaks of golden light and boundless blood chi suddenly flew out of the bloody young noble's body. Streaks of golden light, which represented the laws of heaven and earth, flew out of the bloody prince's body and were mercilessly devoured by the vortex. 103. Blood Noble had 103 universal laws. This number was comparable to a 4 tribulation true emperor. However, at that moment, those 103 laws of heaven and earth had been ruthlessly extracted from his body by Chu Fengmian. Many martial artists and demonic gods in the skeletal shrine were terrified after seeing this scene. Especially the bloody young noble's miserable shriek, it made them feel as if they were in the middle of winter. This was the bloody young noble, a supreme genius of the Avalon of 5 elements. He was only a quasi-emperor and possessed 103 universal laws, comparable to a 4 tribulation true emperor. But now, the stronger the bloody young noble was, the more terrified the martial artists and demonic gods looked at Chu Fengmian. Someone as powerful as the bloody young noble was mercilessly defeated by Chu Fengmian. It could even be said that Chu Fengmian defeated the bloody young noble with ease. Everyone held their breaths, especially the martial artists and demonic gods who were related to the bloody young noble. They frantically tried to escape. However, the 7 spiritual swords of the ancient river sword formation sealed off the exit. Without exception, all the martial artists and demonic gods with the aura of the bloody young noble were killed on the spot by the ancient river sword formation. Cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots. It wasn't just the power. Chu Fengmian's ruthlessness also made them fearless. In the skeletal shrine, they could feel the blood chi that filled the sky. It was simply unbearable. Retrieve. Chu Fengmian pointed his finger and the empty rings of the martial artists and demonic gods that were killed by the ancient river sword formation all fell into Chu Fengmian's palm. Everyone present knew that the empty rings contained a shocking amount of wealth. The subordinates of the bloody young noble had followed him all the way and plundered a lot of wealth. But now, all of these empty rings had fallen into Chu Fengmian's hands without exception. Even though they were right in front of them, no one dared to fight for it. On the other side, the bloody young noble, who was in the vortex, had his universal laws, his essence blood, his secret techniques and countless other encounters completely devoured by the vortex. Not a single trace was left. If Chu Fengmian hadn't deliberately left a little bit of spiritual energy for the bloody young noble, the bloody young noble would have died on the spot. Of course, the current Shui Gongzi had already lost all of his strength. There was no difference between him and a cripple. Even if he managed to survive, he had lost everything and could only become a cripple. Kill me. Kill me if you have the ability. The bloody young noble looked at Chu Fengmian and roared crazily. He had fallen from being a peerless genius to becoming a cripple. This was something that he couldn't imagine. He would rather die than fall into such a state. This was much more ruthless than killing the bloody young noble. Kill you? Your life is still useful. I'm still waiting to use your life to deal with the blood god Emperor Gu. You should live well. Chu Fengmian laughed loudly and suppressed the bloody young noble with a formation. Then, he opened up the Sumeru space and threw the bloody young noble into it. As for the bloody young noble's roar, it had nothing to do with Chu Fengmian. Ruthless, too ruthless. Everyone's expression changed when they looked at Chu Fengmian. They originally thought that Chu Fengmian was arrogant. Especially the disciples of the sacred dragon's secret ground. They originally thought that Chu Fengmian was just an arrogant kid and didn't take him seriously. Who would have thought that Chu Fengmian would be so ruthless and cripple the bloody young noble? Such an action was simply going to fight to the death with the blood god Emperor Gu. Especially when Chu Fengmian left the bloody young noble alive. Judging from his words, Chu Fengmian even wanted to deal with the Emperor Gu. This was no longer ruthless. This was madness. He was definitely a madman. Many disciples of the Emperor Mu Association wanted to leave the association in a hurry. After Chu Fengmian killed the bloody young noble, his next target would be young Master Mu. They didn't want to go against a madman. Chapter 1285. Blood Noble was the only son of Blood God Emperor Gu. It could be said that the feud between Chu Fengmian and Blood God Emperor Gu was irreconcilable from today onwards. On the other side of the phone, the feud between the two of them was irreconcilable. There was a gigantic sea of blood in the boundless space-time. In the heart of this sea of blood was a majestic palace. The moment Blood Noble's bloodline was crippled, the sea of blood began to churn. In this palace, a towering figure suddenly stood up. Countless creatures in the sea of blood could feel the anger of this figure. They hid under the sea of blood and shivered. His anger was enough to boil the sea of blood. Who is it? Who dares to cripple my son's bloodline? The figure looked in the direction of Blood Noble. The fury in his eyes was enough to burn the heavens. Kill! I don't care who it is. Who dares to cripple my son, I will kill him. Kill! Kill! Every single kill word contained an extreme killing intent. Countless living beings in the blood sea were killed by every single kill word. Emperor Gu's prestige couldn't be challenged. Moreover, the one who was crippled was Blood God Emperor Gu's most beloved and only son. Whoosh! With a splash of blood, the figure disappeared from the sea of blood. When the figure completely disappeared, the sea of blood gradually quieted down. Good, I finally crippled Blood Noble's bloodline and took everything from him. This person's fortune is simply heaven-defying. Chu Fengmian took everything from Blood Noble and integrated it into his own body. Some of the countless fortunes obtained by Blood Noble made Chu Fengmian raise his eyebrows. With Blood Noble's aptitude, he would at least be a 5 tribulation true emperor once he stepped into the emperor realm. With enough accumulation, he could even reach the 6 tribulation true emperor realm. With the help of Blood God Emperor Gu, he would have a great chance of becoming an Emperor Gu in the future. But today, he met Chu Fengmian. All of his opportunities and talents were taken away by Chu Fengmian, and all of them became Chu Fengmian's wedding dress. Now, refine the Blood Prince's bloodline and the laws of heaven and earth. Chu Fengmian didn't hesitate either. Now that his strength had improved, his chances of obtaining the bronze heavenly demon skeleton would also increase. After taking away the opportunity, bloodline, and laws of heaven and earth, Chu Fengmian made a prompt decision and activated the sky-devouring secret technique. Although young noble Shui was not dead, the laws of the world and his bloodline still had an owner. They still had young noble Shui's mark. However, as Chu Fengmian activated the heaven-devouring secret technique, he was able to suppress it. Young noble Shui's imprints were all crushed and turned into ownerless objects. With a thought from Chu Fengmian, they all fused into his body. They were continuously refined by Chu Fengmian's power. No! Back in the Sumeru space, Bloody Prince was about to go crazy when he saw this. Chu Fengmian had refined his worldly laws and his opportunities. All of this was his accumulation. It was unknown how many times he had gone through to obtain it. Now, all of it had become a wedding dress for Chu Fengmian. His bloodline was the first to be refined by Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian sensed an extremely noble bloodline of the Dragon Clan. It was even more ancient than the ancient War Dragon Clan's bloodline. The power of this bloodline was extremely close to that of primogenitor Jianwang. It was only a little bit away. It was most likely the bloodline of an ancient War Dragon Clan's ruler. Although it was only a trace, it was already very useful to Chu Fengmian. Bloodline. Devour. Boom. This trace of bloodline immediately began to fuse with the War Dragon bloodline in Chu Fengmian's body. The 36,000 formations that had been dormant all this time in the ancient war dragon clan's silhouette were all activated. Under the power of the bloodline, more and more formations began to condense. A total of 4,000 formations were condensed. After completely devouring the power of the bloodline, the ancient war dragon clan's silhouette had a total of 40,000 formations. There were a total of 4,000 formations. This trace of bloodline is still too little. Chu Fengmian was pleasantly surprised, but he also sighed. However, Chu Fengmian was already satisfied with the 4,000 formations that he had condensed. This meant that every additional formation of primogenitor Jianwang's formation would have a spiritless effect. Although there were only 4,000 more formations, Chu Fengmian could feel that his power as primogenitor Jianwang had more than doubled. At the same time, rays of golden light appeared around Chu Fengmian's body and surrounded him. The laws of heaven and earth. Chu Fengmian did not only want to refine the Blood Prince's bloodline, but he also wanted to refine the laws of heaven and earth. A total of 18 laws of heaven and earth flew out from Chu Fengmian's body. These 18 laws of heaven and earth were the most suitable for Chu Fengmian to refine. Rumble. The sky-devouring secret skill was activated again. The 18 laws of heaven and earth were all devoured into the vortex and refined continuously. They began to fuse into Chu Fengmian's body. The 18 laws of heaven and earth were forcibly refined. They all wanted to escape, but before the sky-devouring secret skill, any escape was meaningless. They were firmly sucked into the vortex. This person is refining the laws of heaven and earth. Azura King and Yiksha King, the two devil kings of the demon clan, didn't have time to react when they saw Chu Fengmian kill young noble blood. Now that they looked at Chu Fengmian, they could tell that he was refining the laws of heaven and earth. At this time, Chu Fengmian had to divide a portion of his power to suppress the laws of heaven and earth. Kill! In an instant, the Azura King charged at Chu Fengmian. Yiksha King also made a sudden move and temporarily broke away from the entanglement of the Heart Demon King. The two Demon Kings attacked Chu Fengmian at the same time, using terrifying killing moves. They could see that Chu Fengmian's body had a noble bloodline. To the demon race, the nobler the bloodline, the stronger the martial artist, and the more nourishing they were. As long as they killed Chu Fengmian, devoured him, and refined everything Chu Fengmian had, the two of them would be greatly improved. Moreover, Chu Fengmian had offended the young emperor. Killing Chu Fengmian would be a great merit to the young emperor. Courting death? Chu Fengmian saw Azura King and Yiksha King rushing towards him. Chu Fengmian's eyes were filled with a cold sneer. Before he killed the Blood Prince, Chu Fengmian was still somewhat afraid of these two demon kings. But now, Chu Fengmian's strength was no longer the same as before. Soaring Serpent Transformation. Chapter 1286. This dragon claw looked very similar to the war dragon's claw from before. However, at the moment they were formed, the surrounding world started to change. It was as if all the realms in the universe had submitted to this claw. Especially the space. Even the space froze. The Azura King and the Yiksha King were frozen in midair, unable to move. Boom! At this moment, the dragon claw moved. Sky Domain Control. This move was one of the extinct techniques of progenitor Jianwang, Sky Domain Control. Progenitor Jianwang was known as the Sky King. It was said that even sovereigns couldn't fly in the world where he lived. Under his might, the entire heaven domain was under his control. After Chu Fengmian devoured the bloodline of Blood Noble, his bloodline improved and he gained control of this power. Space? Space domain control? How is this possible? This is a power that only Emperor Gu has access to. Azura King and Yiksha's expression changed drastically. Only Emperor Gu had the ability to control space. Chu Fengmian wasn't even a quasi-emperor, yet he could do all of this. When the two of them finally broke free from the seal, the dragon claw mercilessly fell on them. Boom! Azura King's bone sword collided with the power of the dragon claw in the air. In an instant, the bone sword in Azura King's hand was sent flying. In the next instant, the bone swords that flew out were forcibly shattered in the air. They turned into dust and scattered in the sky. What kind of power is this? The surrounding martial artists were all dumbfounded. This Azura King was a terrifying existence at the level of a 5 tribulation true emperor. He could withstand one move from ancient emperor. The bone sword in his hand was much stronger than a heaven-grade spirit treasure, but it was shattered by Chu Fengmian's war dragon claw. Was this really something an eternal realm cultivator could do? Before the crowd could finish their exclamations, another change happened in the sky. The Yiksha took advantage of the moment when the Azura King and Chu Fengmian were exchanging blows to rush towards Chu Fengmian's back. The speed of the Yiksha clan was much faster than that of the Azura clan. The Yiksha clan rushed to Chu Fengmian's back, smiled malevolently, and stabbed forward with his Yiksha. However, just as the Yiksha was about to reach Chu Fengmian's back, a beam of sword light descended from the sky. Chu Fengmian unsheathed his 2 swords. 2 streaks of sword chi slashed toward Yiksha. Rip! The Yiksha's Yiksha was cut into 2 halves. The terrifying sword chi engulfed the Yiksha's body. The Yiksha King's body was obliterated by the sword chi and shattered into pieces. A Yiksha comparable to a 5 tribulation true emperor was killed on the spot by Chu Fengmian's sword. Chu Fengmian's devil bone followed his claw and fell into Chu Fengmian's palm. This Yiksha's devil bone was extremely valuable outside. Countless experts would spend a lot of money to buy it. On the other side, the dragon claw came down again and killed the Azura King. The Azura King's body exploded in the air, leaving behind only a mist of blood. Another devil bone fell into Chu Fengmian's hand. This scene would be unforgettable for any warrior or fey god that saw it. These were 2 devil kings of the devil race, the Yiksha King and the Azura King, the elites of the devil race. Ordinary Azura Kings and Yikshas could be considered geniuses of the devil race. They were comparable to the disciples of the sacred dragon secret realm and the Avalon of 5 elements. As for the Azura King and the Yiksha King, they were geniuses among geniuses. At the very least, they had the power of a 5 tribulation true emperor. But now, these 2 devil kings couldn't even fight back in front of Chu Fengmian. A dragon claw and a sword ray killed them both on the spot. These devil kings were invincible in the hearts of countless demon gods. But now, they couldn't even withstand a single blow from Chu Fengmian. Is he still human? One of the warriors was scared out of his wits. The martial artists present were all geniuses of their respective continents. They had seen the world and experienced many battles of life and death. But seeing this scene, they were still scared silly. Even their Tao hearts couldn't accept it. It was enough to see how shocked they were. This killing of young noble Shui was even more shocking. After all, he was only a quasi-emperor. Before healing young noble Shui, he took a blow from a young emperor. His arc was destroyed and he was injured. It was understandable that he was defeated by Chu Fengmian. However, Chu Fengmian had single-handedly defeated these 2 devil kings in the realm of Nether Ghost. Now, the bones of these 2 demon kings were still in Chu Fengmian's hands. King of the inner demons, devour them. Chu Fengmian ordered softly. The king of the inner demons devoured all the devil bones of the 2 devil kings. After devouring the devil bones of the 2 devil kings, the king of the inner demons' strength improved. In the Nether Ghost realm, countless people could feel the change in the king of the inner demons' strength. Now, as long as the king of the inner demons wanted to, he could kill all the martial artists and demon gods present. But Chu Fengmian didn't do that. Instead, he withdrew the king of the inner demons and returned to his body. Seeing this scene, many martial artists and demon gods present breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this person doesn't kill innocent people. Let's go. Let's go back and warn others not to provoke this person. Chu Fengmian's performance this time was simply invincible. First, he crippled young noble Shui. Now, he killed 2 devil kings. No one could rival him. These martial artists and demon gods also had to hurry back and tell their friends and family not to provoke Chu Fengmian again. On the other side, the golden light around Chu Fengmian gradually merged with the laws of heaven and earth. 190 Laws of Heaven and Earth. While dealing with Azura King and Yiksha, Chu Fengmian was also using the sky-devouring secret technique to refine the laws of heaven and earth of young noble Shui. Now, the 18 laws of heaven and earth had been completely refined by Chu Fengmian and merged with his body. This time, there was a total of 190 laws of heaven and earth in Chu Fengmian's body. His strength had improved further. There were countless treasures in the Temple of Bones, but Chu Fengmian's attention was not on them. Chapter 1287. In the sky above the Nether Ghost Realm. The battle between the young emperors and the 4 ancient emperors was getting more and more intense, reaching a climax. For the sake of the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, both sides were going all out. Although the young emperor was fighting 1 against 4, he was able to continuously devour demonic intent in the Nether Ghost Realm to recover his strength. He had even managed to suppress the 4 Emperor Gu. At the same time, the bronze heavenly demon skeleton was constantly changing in the young emperor's hands. The flames on it were gradually extinguished. The flames represented the power left behind by the bronze heavenly demon. After millions of years, the power of the bronze heavenly demon skeleton had been reduced by thousands or even tens of thousands of times. It was completely different from when it was at its peak. Now, the young emperor was refining it with his spiritual power. Chu Fengmian saw all of this and could clearly feel the changes in the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. The drop of bronze heavenly demon blood essence had fused with the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Now, Chu Fengmian was observing the changes in the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. The drop of bronze heavenly demon blood essence had been hidden very well and came from the same source as the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Therefore, even the young emperor had not noticed it. Chu Fengmian was still observing the changes in the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. The young emperor has refined a lot of the bronze heavenly demon skeleton's power. Just as well, the bronze heavenly demon skeleton is extremely weak. After all, the bronze heavenly demon skeleton was an inanimate object. No matter how strong the bronze heavenly demon had been, the bronze heavenly demon skeleton was now millions of years old. It might have been able to put up some resistance in the beginning, but now, the bronze heavenly demon skeleton's power had been mostly depleted and it was extremely weak. After all, it was not alive and could not recover its power. Under the young emperor's continuous refining, the bronze heavenly demon skeleton's power had been reduced to the lowest point. This was the best opportunity for Chu Fengmian. Blood essence, fuse. With a thought, Chu Fengmian quietly activated the drop of blood essence and fused it with the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. The drop of essence blood started to fuse with the bronze heavenly demon skeleton bit by bit. This time, Chu Fengmian could clearly sense that the bronze heavenly demon skeleton was no longer as resistant as before. Chu Fengmian's strength was far from comparable to the young emperor's. This time, Chu Fengmian's goal wasn't to defeat the young emperor, but to obtain the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Although Xiao Di had the upper hand, Chu Fengmian had his own trump card. It was this drop of heavenly demon blood essence that gave Chu Fengmian the upper hand. Chu Fengmian's actions were extremely secretive. In the eyes of Xiao Di and the others, it was merely a change in the bronze celestial demon skeleton's power. They naturally assumed that it was just the skeleton struggling. Oh no, the young emperor is going to refine the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. The young emperor's actions could not escape the eyes of the 4 Emperor Gu. Among them, Cui Tian Emperor Gu said with an extremely cold gaze. I can't let it fall into the young emperor's hands. That's right, fight to the death. Even if we can't get it today, we can't let the young emperor have it. Jing Feng, Emperor Gu, and the others shouted in unison. The young emperor was a once-in-a-lifetime genius of the demonic race. In fact, according to countless rumors, he was the closest to becoming a diviner. Once he obtained the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, who knew what would happen? Pfft. Suddenly, the 4 ancient emperors spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Within the blood, there were specks of golden light. The specks of golden light were the laws of heaven and earth. The four Emperor Gu were going all out, burning the laws of heaven and earth to stop Chu Fengmian. Kill! The four Emperor Gu burned the laws of heaven and earth, erupting with their full strength. It was terrifying to the point of being mechanical. Their combined spiritual power transformed into a vast ocean, carrying the power of heaven and earth as it blasted toward the young emperor. In front of this sea of spiritual energy, even all living things in the universe would be crushed. You're courting death. You four ants, do you think you can fight me with your full strength? The young emperor roared, not to be outdone. An altar suddenly flew out from the young emperor's body. This altar was the vessel of the young emperor's incarnation. The source of his power came from this altar. Seven Demons Altar. As soon as the altar appeared, billowing demonic intent entered the ocean and blasted toward the combined spiritual power of the four Emperor Gu. The young emperor had also given it his all. He had even brought out the altar. It was a desperate attack. Rumble. The collision of these two forces was simply about to shatter the heavens and earth. Fortunately, they were in the Nether Ghost Realm, the largest and sturdiest continent in the world. If they were in a place like the ancient monster continent, this collision alone would be enough to shatter a third of the continent. Whether it was the young emperor or the four Emperor Gu, they had put all their strength into this attack. This attack would determine the outcome of the battle. Young emperor, back off. Cui Tian Emperor Gu looked at the young emperor and said coldly. Today, the four of us will not let you have your way, even if we die. As he spoke, Emperor Gu and the others burned even more of the laws of heaven and earth. Each burn was enough to destroy the hundreds of years of cultivation of Cui Tian Emperor Gu and the others. They would have to pay a heavy price. But now, for the sake of this bronze heavenly demon skeleton, even if he had to pay a hefty price, it would be worth it. Damn it. Damn it. You bunch of ants, if I were to come here personally. How could I let you run rampant? The young emperor roared furiously. He couldn't come here himself. His incarnation couldn't even use 30% of his power. Cui Tian Emperor Gu and the others were like ants in his eyes. They didn't even qualify for his personal attack. Who would have thought that they would be forced to this place? You forced me to do this. Seven Demons Altar. Explode. The young emperor's face twisted. He waved his hand and the seven demons altar spun and flew toward the four Emperor Gu. Chapter 1288. The seven demons altar was the most precious treasure of the demonic clan. With the seven demons sacrificial altar, this young emperor could take on four ancient emperors alone. Apart from the young emperor's strength, it also represented the power of the seven demons altar. But now, the young emperor had chosen to detonate the seven demons altar for the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Even the Emerald Sky Emperor Gu and the Golden Peak Emperor Gu did not expect the young emperor to be so crazy. Seeing the seven demons altar flying towards them, the four of them retreated, trying to distance themselves from it. However, the speed of the seven demons altar was shockingly fast. In an instant, it had arrived before the four ancient emperors and started to disintegrate. It started to shake violently. The terrifying power was enough to crush everything around it. The four Emperor Gu were enveloped in it. Die! The young emperor's face was hideous. The seven demons altar was the most precious treasure of the demonic clan. It was heartbreaking for it to detonate. But for the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, this sacrifice was nothing once he gained control of the bronze heavenly demon's power. Damn it! Young emperor, even if we die, you won't get what you want. The Emerald Sky Emperor Gu and the Golden Peak Emperor Gu knew that they were nearing the end of their lives. Their faces were filled with madness as they unleashed all the laws of heaven and earth in their bodies. Close to 10,000 laws of heaven and earth emerged from the four of them at the same time. They merged into one in the air, forming a sharp sword light that pointed at the young emperor. This sword was extremely strong, and no one could compare to it. It was also the final sword of the four ancient emperors before they died. The 4 ancient emperors were blown to smithereens by the explosion of the 7 demons' sacrificial altar. Not even their corpses remained. Even their spiritual treasures and spatial rings were blown to smithereens by the explosion. Nothing could withstand the power of the 7 demons' altar's self-destruction. But at the same time, the sword landed on the young emperor. Crack! The young emperor's body trembled uncontrollably under the impact of the sword. His body was on the verge of collapsing, and he was on the verge of being annihilated. Without the 7 demons' altar, my incarnation will also be destroyed. But today, this bronze heavenly demon skeleton belongs to me. Xiao Di was extremely excited. Looking at the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, he suddenly injected a surge of spiritual energy into it. He had already suppressed the power of the bronze heavenly demon skeleton to its weakest state, and the restrictive array on it was almost broken. He only needed to take one more step to completely refine the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Once he refined it, he would be able to obtain the power of the bronze heavenly demon. At the thought of this, Xiao Di's hands trembled in excitement. Good chance. Chu Fengmian observed everything from afar. Suddenly, a hint of joy appeared in his eyes. The once-in-a-lifetime opportunity he had been waiting for had finally arrived. Inscribe. Chu Fengmian had already injected the drop of bronze heavenly demon blood essence into the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, occupying the center of the skeleton. But because of the restrictive array on it, the drop of blood essence had been unable to control and refine the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. But now, the young emperor had broken all the restrictive arrays on the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. The drop of blood essence immediately integrated into the bronze heavenly demon skeleton and took complete control of it. The moment Xiao Di injected his spiritual energy into the bronze heavenly demon skeleton and broke all the restrictive arrays on it, a surge of power suddenly emerged from the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. This surge of power erupted in an instant. Even Xiao Di did not expect this sudden change. In his opinion, the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, which had almost lost all its power, would suddenly erupt with such power. With the help of this surge of power, the bronze heavenly demon skeleton broke free from Xiao Di's palm and turned into a beam of light, flying into the distance. What's going on? Why did the bronze heavenly demon skeleton suddenly change? Xiao Di shouted angrily when he saw this. He had gone through untold hardships to defeat Emerald Sky Emperor Gu, Gold Peak Emperor Gu, and the others, and take the bronze heavenly demon skeleton for himself. However, before he could refine it, the bronze heavenly fiend skeleton flew out of his hand. And now, the young emperor had chosen to do it when he was at his weakest. This was definitely not a coincidence. Xiao Di would never have guessed that Chu Fengmian had already set up a trap when he took the bronze heavenly demon skeleton from the Temple of Bones. The drop of bronze heavenly demon blood essence had always been by Chu Fengmian's side and had long been tainted with his aura. No one could refine it unless Chu Fengmian died. The drop of bronze heavenly demon blood essence had been hiding in the bronze heavenly demon skeleton all this while, waiting for this moment to turn the tables and gain complete control over and refine the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Seeing the changes in the bronze heavenly demon skeleton, Xiao Di knew very well that someone must have refined the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Who is it? Who dares to scheme against me? Xiao Di roared, his anger seeming to burn everything in the world. However, not a single person appeared. It was as if no one was controlling all of this. Seal! Xiao Di was infuriated, but he knew very well that it was more important to protect the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. He reached out his hand and grabbed at the bronze heavenly demon skeleton that was flying away. He wanted to condense the surrounding space so that the bronze heavenly demon skeleton wouldn't be able to fly away. But then, a dragon's roar resounded through the world. The dragon's roar shattered all the spatial seals in the surroundings and sent the bronze heavenly demon skeleton into the depths of the void. Once it entered the depths of the void, no matter how powerful Xiao Di was, he would not be able to find the bronze heavenly demon skeleton in the endless void. I don't care who it is. Who dares to scheme against me? I will tear him to pieces. Sooner or later, I will take back the bronze heavenly demon skeleton. Xiao Di was invincible and had killed 4 Emperor Gu. But in the end, Chu Fengmian had used all of this to benefit Chu Fengmian. How could he tolerate this with his dignity? Not only his incarnation, but even his true body was swearing to kill Chu Fengmian. A terrifying murderous intent swept through the entire Nether Ghost realm. In his rage, blood flowed like a river as countless martial artists and Fey gods were killed by Xiao Di. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.